Yard Battalion 11 fans. He is one of hundreds of fans who showed up against Mayor Hogsett's plan to fund a new MLS stadium and abandon 11 Park, which the city already gave approval to last year. The city's development commission approved the mayor's plan on Wednesday. A person killed early this morning in a hit and run on the east side. It happened along 38th Street. Police say they got there to find a man lying dead in the street. No suspects yet to speak of. A road rage incident. That's what state police are calling what happened on the south side Wednesday. John Herrick reports.
They were told that someone shot a man on I-65 northbound near County Line Road. State Police Sergeant John Perrine says the man who died was thrown out of the car, and the car ended up in a pond.
Our detectives are scrambling right now. They're working very hard, following any leads that they have so that we can start connecting the dots.
Divers were able to get the car out of the water. They didn't find anyone else inside the car. John Herrick, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
As you know, the DEA is looking into reclassifying pot as a less dangerous drug. Senator Mike Braun says he's fine with the idea, but is still less inclined to support legalizing pot for recreational use. Braun is running for governor of Indiana. Mario Andretti was in Washington on Wednesday. He spoke with lawmakers who are sending a letter to Formula One owners asking them for more details on why Andretti Global's bid to join F1 was denied. There may be antitrust ramifications with the rejection. It's another chance for them to put the Milwaukee Bucks away.
I think we're definitely looking forward to the challenge. You know what I mean? No, we know nothing's going to be handed to us. Nothing's going to be given to us.
Indiana Pacers forward Miles Turner. If they win tonight, they eliminate the Bucks and move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Tip-off tonight at 6:30 inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
All right, Kurt, we're looking at the northeast side and westbound 465 crash after I-69. It is now cleared, or at least out of the interstate, but it's done a number here. We are looking at stop-and-go traffic back to Penn Pike. Also inbound 69 stop from 106th Street down to 465 because of that earlier crash, and we have that merge between the two interstates. It's going to take some time to clear this traffic out. The crash eastbound 70 approaching the south split is cleared, but we're still slow from Tibbs Avenue over to Belmont. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop Grand Appliance for unbeatable prices, fast delivery, and expert installation on a huge selection of in-stock appliances. Learn more at grandappliance.com or your local showroom. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
On a map, the southern border is 1,000 miles away, but that's not how it feels to my family. I grew up in a blue-collar home in Richmond. My dad was a factory worker. He was laid off twice. Not because the factory was doing poorly, but because it was cheaper to move those jobs across the border. I'm Jamison Carrier. Today, it's not what's leaving across the border that's devastating our families. It's what's coming in. And once again, it's personal. My wife and I lost our son Joey to fentanyl, a tragedy that's become far too common. To President Biden, secure the border is just a talking point. But to our family, it's life and death. I'm Jamison Carrier. I'm a business owner, a native Hoosier, and a Trump Republican. And we can't wait another day to secure our border and put Americans first. I'm Jamison Carrier, and I approve this message.
Jamison Carrier for Congress. Paid for by Carrier for Congress, Inc.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Partly cloudy, very warm, close to record high temperatures this afternoon, a high of 85. Tonight, mostly cloudy, scattered showers and storms overnight, and mild, low of 65. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8's Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
68 and mostly cloudy on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on WIBC is powered by Miss M's Home and Garden, Johnson County Spring Nursery Headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, May 2nd. It is 7 minutes after 9. It's the Kendall and Casey show on 93 WIBC. Rob has the day off, and joining me in the studio today, Tony Kinnett from the Tony Kinnett Cast, which airs Monday through Friday on this very radio station, 7 p.m. Also a columnist from the Daily Signal. He's opinionated opinionated, he's biased, but as you say, trustworthy because at least you tell people that up front.
Absolutely. I give you the facts, and then I tell you, here is why I think these facts mean these things. Crazy idea for journalism, but, it's where we are.
I'm glad you're here today. Thanks for coming in.
I'm thrilled.
Hey, how is the Tony Kinnett cast going, by the way?
It's going really, really well. The 100th episode is tomorrow. Wow. We've got a great cast of characters lined up on the show. Things are going great. The live stream is doing some really cool things that we can't really talk about on air yet because we're kind of double checking it.
Yeah.
But let's just say legacy media in Indiana is a little worried about it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for spending some time today in the long broadcast.
Oh, this is fun.
This isn't
for me.
1 hour. This is 3 hours.
You'll have to coach me through it.
Okay. We'll do our best. All right. We're going to start off. We're talking a lot about property taxes lately, and your president is proposing that 44% increase in the capital gains tax.
Yeah, that'll go over well.
We've got the gas tax here in Indiana. So let's talk about taxes and what these different people who want to be your governor are proposing.
I love this because every Republican candidate for governor wants to waltz in and go, we're going to cut taxes. Like that's some kind of, groundbreaking, brand new idea we've never seen from a Republican candidate. And then they get in office and they don't actually cut any of the taxes. They marginally shave off, like you're running a planer over wood, barely scraping a little off. And then they give these massive, huge tax breaks to these corporations they're bringing in, and they're subsidizing and giving huge tax breaks. So you and I get to pick up the tab with our gas tax and property taxes. The governor, whoever it is, gives us a very firm financial middle finger.
Well, they're all saying that they'd like to cut taxes, but of course they're disagreeing on how they want to do that. And we're 5 days away from the primary, so I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to lay it out for everybody because there are still many undecided voters across central Indiana. Shall we start with Suzanne Crouch?
If we have to.
Okay, she is the first candidate to unveil a tax plan. She did it back in August, and she said that she would eliminate Indiana's income tax if she were elected. She did that live during a debate. It was the end of March is when she said that.
Again, this is like someone saying, guys, I'm baking a cake, and let me tell you, the second layer on this cake is just amazing. It's to die for. And it's like, what about the other layers on the cake? What about the frosting? What about what the cake is resting on? It's like, no, don't worry about all that. Think about the second layer of the cake. It's moist, it's chocolatey, it's wonderful. Yeah, sure, there's dog crap all over the cake, but I mean, the second layer is wonderful. And she runs around in her red dress sounding like a hypertensioned Yorkie, yelling at the state. And I guess I'm supposed to be impressed or whatever. That's the only plan that she has. And it's as thin as mall toilet paper.
Okay, so she says that we have to limit government growth and all of the wasteful spending and find efficiencies.
But she refuses to criticize the Indiana Economic Development Council. So we need to reduce the impact of the government, says the one who is just the lieutenant governor over one of the most aggressive governmental Republican administrations in modern Indiana history. It's like Joe Biden saying, we need to cut all this crap out, but he's secretly endorsing it on the side. She's not even a good fraud. It's like someone trying to convince you that this plastic mannequin in the mall is actually a real person.
Okay, so you mentioned the IEDC, so that moves on to Brad Chambers.
Yeah.
He's proposed simplifying and standardizing the property tax assessments, which we're all getting in the mail right now. He says this will allow homeowners to transfer the homestead property tax credit to a new home, even if they decide to move. That's his plan.
Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. It literally is someone coming in who the business is in trouble, and they say, well, if we move all of our red folders over to the blue filing cabinet and all of our yellow folders over to the green filing cabinet, and you reroute this over to IO5DC.4, then actually that will cut our marginal rates by 0.025% per year over the next 10 years. It's like, okay, Poindexter, shut up. There's a massive problem that we have here, and you changing the highlighter colors on the pens isn't going to solve it. There is a reason that the Democrats currently have a campaign in the state of Indiana for Democrats to register as Republicans and vote for Brad Chambers in the primary.
He said that he wants to extend the property tax relief from 23 into 25 and beyond.
First of all, he's not actually proposing any kind of relief. He's like saying, we're going to relieve the property taxes are bad. And it's like, yeah, because of you. You're the guy who's been soft-handing and squeezing the butts of corporations and companies who have been coming into the state because, oh, God forbid, if the tech firm doesn't open outside of Indianapolis, our state's going to become a desert wasteland. What?
He's also focusing on economic development. He says as the economy grows within the state of Indiana, you'll be able to afford these taxes.
Yeah, at the expense of the rights of Hoosiers. So it's like, yeah, well, I'm really worried about what some California stakeholder is going to be able to do with Indiana's money. I'm sorry, but patting Brad Chambers' wallet just isn't in my interest.
Okay, so Eric Doden and Jamie Rittenauer, they have both focused specifically on property tax relief for seniors. Doden says that he would freeze seniors' payment levels and defer any increases in taxes owed until someone sells their house. Rittenauer says that she would eliminate property taxes entirely for people age 65 and older.
I disagree with both of these plans because it's just college debt forgiveness, but for a different demographic. This is saying, well, you're old and you're likely to vote, so I'm going to give you this kind of a favor. That is a very stupid identity politics way to run things. I'm sorry, property taxes in the state of Indiana should be the same for anyone who owns property, period. That's how it should work. The whole, well, we're going to give you some of this and this group some of this is how we got into this mess in the first place. Eric Doden should be running for mayor of Fort Wayne. He has not run a campaign to be a governor of Indiana. He's run a campaign to bring Indianapolis-style governmental politics to medium-sized towns in the state. And it impressed no one, and he refused to actually play the game of running for office. Jamie Rittenauer, although I really like her as a person, should be running as a first-term representative for the state house in her district, not governor. She doesn't know how the office works, and I really like her. I do. I had her on the show because we had a little bit of beef. We talked about it. I think she's a wonderful person, and she is right for the state. Running for governor right out of the gate, though, not knowing how the office works, how you're going to tear down the bureaucracy and just saying, well, I'm just going to do things like you have a magic wand. That's not how the office works.
So you think that in regards to Rittenauer, there's too much OTJT on the job training?
Yeah, there really is. So you either have Brad Chambers and Suzanne Crouch, who are bringing you the exact same thing packaged differently. Like when Great Value brand at Walmart changed from like that yellow old style font over to like the solid block letters. That's Suzanne Crouch and Brad Chambers. They're the new Indiana signs on the border.
Yeah.
All right. It's no longer Indiana Crossroads America. It's in Indiana. That's them.
Okay, so Curtis Hill and Crouch both calling for income tax cuts. Curtis Hill says his plan would eliminate the state income tax on people between the ages of 18 and 35, and then end taxation of retirement benefits income for people over 65. To me, this is picking winners and losers. You can't pick a specific demographic.
I really, really like Hill. I think Hill is clearly the best candidate out of all of them from a personal level. I think he is a solid guy. However, he is making a few fumbles close to the finish line, and this is one of them. And that is, again, where you're trying to like track lotto numbers. You're like, well, this group over here and this group over here. And it's like you've called up the Chicago analytics group and you've said, okay, what demographics are on the fence and how could I target them and give them just enough to get them to vote for me? That's not how any of this works. You think that some representative or state senator from Richmond or Muncie or whatever sub kind of rural, kind of urban county is going to go along with this plan when the majority of their voters would oppose it? How are you going to pass the law that doesn't make it to your desk, Mr. Governor?
Well, how are you going to pass a law specific to an age group like that? And then once you age out of it, it changes? Okay, so Braun hasn't offered really anything specific.
He doesn't have to.
He is just pointing out his past legislation and business record. And he said that he would work with the legislature on tax cuts, especially property taxes, to accompany spending cuts in every state agency.
Here's the uncomfortable truth. That's the smartest move. Because what should be proposed is policy.
To what, not be specific to the voters?
Because it's a lie. You come out to the voters right now and say, here's what I'm going to do. If you're between the ages of 45 and 63 and you own a home with 2 stories and the siding is tan and your kid wears blue jeans on Fridays, you're going to get a tax cut of 23.6% on every third month of the whatever. And that is how a lot of these candidates are running. Braun, knowing that that's stupid, and from his time in the Senate, knowing that's not how it works, is just making very bland, vague statements. He already has name recognition. Where Braun, if he wants to be a good candidate, should be attacking is social issues. And that's where other candidates have been kind of garbage. Hill's been phenomenal, but and also Rittenauer as well. But as far as where Braun needs to go, he doesn't have to lay out a tax plan because, again, he's voted a lot like popular senators like Mike Lee, and that's kind of what he's been running on.
So he's in a position of the less he says, the better off he is, because by saying something, it could actually hurt him.
And that is the entire point. Because Braun, would I like him to be more specific? 110%. But it doesn't have to. Why would I take a risk that is unnecessary at this point to risk saying something stupid like he did regarding the Supreme Court weighing in on same-sex marriages?
That is Tony Kinnett, and he's in for Rob Kendall today. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
I remember those family moments listening to the Indianapolis 500.
The magic of May.
Pool party, grill out, beers, hot dogs, listen to the race.
The traditions.
The playing of taps right before the start of the race.
The drivers.
Rick Mears.
Elio Castroneves.
Al Unser Jr.
The memories.
Everybody tailgating and having a good time.
For more than 70 years.
AJ Foyt takes the lead from Eddie Saxon.
Your home of the Indianapolis 500. 93 WIBC.
It's time for a change in Indiana and Washington, D.C. Our leaders have lost their way, and it's time to send a Green Beret to fix it. After September 11, when our nation was reeling from terror attacks, Charles Bookwalter stood up and said, "Send me." Charles Bookwalter served as a Green Beret overseas in combat, earning a Bronze Star for his service. And now, as our leaders in D.C. recklessly spend us into generational debt and send trillions overseas, Charles Bookwalter is standing up again to say no. No to open borders and illegal immigrants. No to endless wars. And no to endless spending. It's time for a new generation of Republican leaders to step up and continue their service. Because Washington is broken, and only a Green Beret like Charles Bookwalter can fix it. Vote Charles Bookwalter for Congress. Paid for by Green Beret PAC, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Hey guys, don't be that dad without life insurance. When thanks to Ethos, you can be that great dad with life insurance to help keep his family living exactly like they do now, secure and protected in the event of the unexpected. With a fast and easy online experience, some policies as low as $1 a day and up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Ethos makes getting life insurance protection hassle-free. E for easy, E for ethos at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Get revved up when the Pacers play to clinch their first round series against the Bucks.
Neesmith buries a three right in front of the Milwaukee bench.
Experience the playoff energy at Game Bridge Fieldhouse.
Oh, boy! Turner with the dunk. He went right after Lopez.
The Pacers and Bucks continue round one of the playoffs with Game 6 on Thursday night. Get your tickets at pacers.com/playoffs. Pacers playoffs presented by KeyBank, Starry, and Kroger.
Free. Who doesn't love free? With MyLowe's Rewards, you get the member-only treatment that's actually worth it. Enjoy free member gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping. Because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowe's.com/MyLowe's Rewards today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See Lowe's.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
Building a better future for Hoosiers is going to take an outsider. Brad Chambers is the only candidate for governor who's not a career politician. And only Brad Chambers built a national business from nothing. As Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers broke records for job growth all across the state. Jobs with wages higher than ever before. Because of Brad Chambers, higher wages are on the way. And only Brad Chambers can keep them coming.
Paid for by Chambers for Indiana.
Advent is now open in Indianapolis and Avon. Find out more at adventknows.com.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Mother's Day is almost here. Sundown Gardens is fully stocked with high-quality annuals, trees, shrubs, decor, and more. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundowngardens.com.
So what do you spend your money on?
You got to be way more specific than that.
Somebody spent $10,000 on a trading card.
What? Wait, hold on. Cut the music cap. Wait a minute. $10,000 on a trading card.
Yeah.
For what and who?
Okay, we're going to get into it. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC. That is Tony Kinnett in for Rob today. An anonymous bidder dropped $10,000 to acquire a rare, one-of-a-kind, autographed Caitlin Clark rookie card.
Wait a minute, Caitlin Clark. Greg Doyle bought a trading card?
No. Well, it could have been him. It was an anonymous
good
bidder.
for Greg. Finally ran out of stuff to look at in his private time, so he's scooping up the trading cards.
So this went on sale via her new licensing deal with Panini Trading Cards, and it's a memorabilia company. I'm over here worried about the price of fast food, and somebody's dropping 10K, 10 large on a card. So do you have any collectibles? Are you into this at all? Would you buy something like this?
Buy something like that? No. I do have a few collectibles, but I got them as gifts. So there's a sports journalist out of Newcastle, a guy named Rex Crabtree, who interviewed Ozzie Smith, who's a famous baseball player that I admire from the St. Louis Cardinals, and got me a signed baseball from Ozzie Smith. So I have that. That's on my shelf. There are a few other
prized possession.
Yeah, I mean, but I have like most of my stuff that I would say is like collectible is I have like an old pipe that just kind of sits on the shelf, and a few other like collectible versions of books that I really, really like. But that kind of stuff I just keep because it looks nice in the office, I guess.
And it's personal to you.
Yeah, stuff that I would like to have as heirlooms to pass to my kids is kind of a thing. Not like this is a one-of-a-kind holographic card from the rookie season of Jerry Stewart Simmons. Like, I'm not really.
So are you hoping that your trading card one day will be of value?
I mean,
you could sell?
The baseball. I don't know. I mean, baseball players sign a lot of things, and some people get really weird about having the certificate of authenticity with it, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't know if it does or doesn't. I'm just still going to have it because watching Ozzie Smith play was something incredible. The films of him and just what he could do, and that crack whip of an arm of his. To have him sign a baseball and you know it'd be signed to me is just kind of cool. You know, just something nice to have.
So Caitlin Clark apparently was close to downtown last night doing a photo shoot.
Okay.
And I always see that after the fact, which bums me out because we're right here. Could have seen her, could have met her, possibly. But Ken Golden from Golden Collectibles, he said that we're currently in unprecedented territory. For any prior female athlete at any point in time. And typically, women's memorabilia will drop in value when they go to the NCAA level. But it's the opposite of what's happening with her. Her rookie stuff is becoming more valuable now that she's a pro.
I mean, people are still, Serena Williams' first racket that she played with in college sold for a couple of grand just a few years back. So I don't know if I agree with the unprecedented. It sounds like a journalist that's really trying to put clickbait in a story. When there's a really good athlete and they start to do really cool things, their merch prices increase. Because like if no one's out there going, Tony Kennett's soccer ball from when he was in high school at Heritage Hall Christian School. Where can I find that? Because, yeah, I played in college, but, like, I didn't go do anything beyond that. So it's not, who cares?
I think the big risk, though, when it's a rookie like this and you're paying for a rookie card before they've played any actually professional games is what happens if she gets hurt or her NCAA record isn't, or her, WNBA record isn't as good. Now, are you 10 grand in the hole? Like, it could possibly lose value.
I'm trying to be relatable for all the hip young listeners out there, but I just don't go in for spending huge amounts of money on things like that don't do anything but sit there. And I'm really kind of the same way for like art. I don't really care. I like things that move. I like things that are tools that I can work with and use.
Function over form.
Yeah, I really do. And buying a card that's really nice, it's like, wow, you bought a card. I would rather the story of like it was given to me. I met them in person.
Right.
That matters. I'm interviewing Matt Walsh this afternoon, who's like a big personality over on the right from the Daily Wire. And like, I would rather have that than like a weird signed letter or something. I guess that's a very much smaller case, but that kind of a thing.
So no braggadocious rights then. Look what I have.
Oh, it's his tie.
Did you see U.S. fertility rates are dropping? This year's numbers are down 2% over a year ago, and they're the lowest on record. In 2023, 1.62 births happened.
So there's an idea that for a culture to maintain itself, you need about 2.3 as far as the birth rate. Parents to have somewhere between 2 and 3 kids, really leaning closer to 3. Are you really surprised by this?
No, I'm not. Experts say that it's because people
experts.
are. Yeah.
Oh, here, let's hear what the experts say.
The experts are saying it's because people are focusing on their careers.
No.
And access to contraception is behind the trend.
No, that is so stupid. No.
Because women just started working in 2020 and we just
focusing on their careers.
Right, there's got to
for
be
the
something
first
else there.
I'm sorry, the same generation that whines and moans about their job every single day is not focusing on their careers. No, we over the last couple of decades have told people not to get married before you're in your 30s and not to have kids, because if you have kids, it'll ruin your whole life and you'll hate it, and they're just a bunch of smelly, awful whatevers, and don't you just want to go drink and party and have fun and waste your money forever? That's become the cultural virtue.
Right, and now that trend, it's catching up.
Oh, no, it's
the
the consequences of my actions? So I'm no.
Do you think that finances has anything to do with it? I think that has a big part of it right now.
I think it's the miscommunication of finances. The idea that, like, you need a huge chunk of wealth in order to raise kids, and coupled with the idea that people aren't willing to sacrifice the finances that they have for kids. They're saying, well, I'm not making a whole lot, so I couldn't afford to have kids. And it's like, no, more likely you aren't willing to sacrifice what you have to raise a family. So it's really, I would say, more of an argument that is exacerbated by finances, but really boils down to generational selfishness.
It is the Kendall Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC.
Shades of red, white, and blue. Guarding dreams for all, he believes in you.
Raju Chinthala is a healthcare professional, a successful businessman, and a community leader with experience. Raju is ready to be your next congressman in the 5th District. Raju for you.
Raju, shades of red, white, and blue.
Raju is a family man ready to represent your family with Hoosier values. And he's a man of action, ready to get things done. Vote for Raju Chinthala, Republican 5th District Congress.
Raju, shades of red, white, and blue. Guarding dreams for all, he believes in you.
I'm Raju Chintala, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Raju for Congress.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
That's Faber's being window. Trust me.
Are you thinking about your next home improvement project, but you need more than a window replacement? Whether it's siding, entry doors, or maybe a bath or shower remodel, design it before you buy it. That's right. B's using the latest in technology to create an architectural design so you can see our products on your house before you purchase.
For a limited time, receive 50% off all products plus 12 months, no interest, no payments.
Faber's being window. Trust me.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Tearing another one down. It's partly cloudy and 70 degrees on Monument Circle. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. An anti-Israel encampment on the campus of UCLA has now been cleared.
The situation is definitely under control, but it's not over. The protesters in the encampment here, they were given the option to leave. They wouldn't be arrested. They could go right down that corridor. Obviously, they had hours to vacate this location. They were told 12 hours ago. These people chose not to. The university, while they called this unlawful 2 days ago, they continued to allow them to resupply.
Fox's William LaJeunesse. The protesters were calling for the university to cut its financial ties with Israel. Donald Trump is back in a New York courtroom today for his criminal hush money trial. Before the proceedings, the judge is expected to hear more accusations of Trump's possible gag order violations. The former president is facing nearly 3 dozen counts of falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. With the Fed deciding to hold interest rates steady, stocks are rebounding today. The Dow is up 180 to 38,249. The Nasdaq up 134 to 17,572. And the S&P 500 is up 32 to 5,078. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hoosiers have a choice on who they send to Washington and deserve to know the facts before voting. Jefferson Shreve caves to the radical left on our values and is a never-Trump moderate. Jamison Carrier, well, he filed for bankruptcy, owing thousands in tax liens, claims his primary residence is in Florida, voted there this last election. I'm Mike Speedy, and I approve this message. By the grace of God, I beat cancer, and with your help, we can beat these lying politicians and save America.
Mike Speedy is the only candidate who is both endorsed by Indiana Right to Life and is A+ rated by the NRA. Mike Speedy endorses President Trump and will join him to fix our border once and for all. Mike Speedy will fight the woke leftists to guarantee life and liberty. Speedy has a track record of fighting and winning. Vote Republican Mike Speedy in Indiana's 6th Congressional on or before May 7th. Paid for by Mike Speedy for Congress.
I'm Mike Speedy. I'm running for Congress, and I approve this message.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article, or sensitive personal information about your family. Search engines don't always get it right. But right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff, so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-948-6033 to speak to an expert. That's 800-948-6033.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
President Donald Trump knows how to make America great.
Is the mic ready? Yes. Trump strong. I'm gonna do it. Nobody knows the game better than I do. Nobody knows. No, get those lights off. Off. Turn off the lights. Crooked Hillary. Sleepy Joe. Little Marco. Little Rocket Man. Look at those hands. Are they small hands?
All right, let's talk about Donald Trump. He was in Wisconsin, he was in Michigan, to big crowds, and guess where he's going to be next?
Oh, tell me.
At the Libertarian Party Convention in Washington, D.C.
Oh, they are so...
speaking there.
The people that are freaking out about Trump speaking at the Libertarian... So Joe Bjorgensen, the Libertarian candidate that no one voted for, was on Twitter X the other day whining about Trump coming to speak at the Libertarian convention, which, again, I'm going to upset the Libertarians right now. Libertarians are on the right. They don't like it. They're like, no, both sides are bad. But they ally with conservatives on like 90% of the issues. I'm sorry, deal with it. So Trump going and speaking at the Libertarian National Convention, it's a good thing. It is. He brings relevance to the libertarian ideals that should be more prevalent in the Republican Party. They're not.
Some legitimacy.
Yeah, because usually they're there arguing about whether or not there should be driver's licenses or an age of consent. And what's my sources? The last 8 Libertarian National Conventions. So, good. But Joe Jorgensen was on Twitter X. I just can't. Trump's coming because he's clearly obsessed with me, and maybe I can sign an autograph for him. It's like, sweetie. No one has considered you serious. I wouldn't recognize you if you were on every box of Betty Crocker.
Okay, so this convention is going to take place May 23rd through the 26th.
Yep.
It's at a hotel, and they asked Joe Biden to go as well and address the convention. He's slated not to speak. He's not showing up. For a while there, RFK Jr. flirted with the idea of being the party's nominee, but he's not going to go.
Yeah, he's not a libertarian at all.
So you've got Trump going, and Trump says that, hey, he wants all these libertarians to join him and the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Where they share many libertarian views.
Yeah.
So he's trying to court them to get more votes.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, again, because this is the wildest thing about this election, is that whereas Biden is narrowing and isolating the entire country, he has just isolated the entire faction of 90s Labor Democrats. He is losing Pennsylvania hard. And do you know who made that point the other day? John Fetterman. Like, this is a wild series of events. Whereas Trump is running around the country and he's building a coalition. He's like, you know what? I'm actually, kind of more relaxed on a lot of things than some people to my right. And I just really think that we should be focusing on the things voters care about: inflation and immigration. And it's working. And same with libertarians are more easy for the right to court than the left. They always have been. And so, yeah, this makes every kind of political sense, period.
Okay, so Trump said that if libertarians vote for him, the election won't even be close. He said we can't have another 4 years of death, destruction, and incompetence. We will work together and win. And on their part, the chair of the Libertarian Party says for 50 years we've been trying to get candidates on the main stage with a major party, and now Trump is the one who's going to do it. And they're going to do everything in their power to use the opportunity to advance the message of liberty. Now, here's another Trump story that I wanted to share with you, and this was when a anchor in Detroit, a news anchor, asked Donald Trump where he got his information from. They were doing an interview and he asked him, they were talking about crime statistics.
Yeah.
And the reporter says, where are you getting this information from? And here is Trump's answer.
One stat before we go. Venezuela was very crime-ridden. They announced the other day 72% reduction in crime in the last year. You know why? They moved all their criminals from Venezuela right into the good old USA. And Biden let them do it. It's a disgrace.
But, sir, where are those numbers coming from?
I guess I get them from the papers in this case. I think it's a federal statement or, well, they're coming actually from Venezuela. They're coming from Venezuela.
So I was expecting more stumpage, but look, first of all, two great rules here. If you're going to throw out a stat, be ready to back it up. Number two, when you are running for president, you have people that give you talking points all the time on your team, right? You have an entire group that is supposed to be feeding you things and keeping you up to date. There is no presidential candidate or gubernatorial candidate that is out there beating the bricks every morning and looking at every single update. So should Trump have, had something in front of him that showed where the stat came from? Yeah, it's good practice. Do I think it's his fault? If he was citing something his people gave him, no. But if he wasn't, then yeah, that was dumb.
So what's he supposed to say? Well, that was an Associated Press, or that came from Monmouth University, or that's a Quinnipiac poll. I mean, like,
not everyone's Ben Shapiro, who has an entire encyclopedia of the sources that he cites.
Yeah.
And I, by the way, when I'm on the air and I have a source or I reference a study that's from the back in the time, I'll give people an approximate, and then when I go to break and I find it, then I'll come back and mention where it actually was. And sometimes it works. Sometimes I have to amend what I remembered. That's just how that works.
Do you feel the need to cite your source for transparency?
I feel the need to cite my sources because I'm a conservative, and that everything that I say is based on some type of fact that I've researched as a former academic. If I hyperlink everything in my article with a direct source, you can't say I'm lying. You can't. Where's the lie? Where's the fault? You'll know what's opinion and what's fact based on what I've cited.
He is Tony Kinnett. He's joining us today. It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob has the day off. You can hear the Tony Kinnett cast Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. right here on 93 WIBC. Also a columnist from the Daily Signal. And I ask you about the citing your sources because there is this new poll out, and this is from the Associated Press. And it says that a majority of voters are extremely or very concerned about the media pushing misinformation in the upcoming presidential election. I mean, that's not shocking.
No.
I don't think to anybody.
Wrote run-of-the-mill morning nonsense.
They say 53% of Americans are extremely or very concerned about media outlets spreading inaccurate information, disinformation.
The way these questions are asked is very weird because when you actually go and look at the questions themselves, they don't match the headline. There are always things like, are you concerned that there might be something obfuscated in a story and the question's unclear and the survey data really doesn't make any sense? And then they broadcast it as Americans everywhere crying in the streets going, oh no, there's misinformation everywhere, Andy. We got to lock down the town. like my Barney Fife there?
I did. I like that a lot. One of the big concerns that came up with this poll is unverified information around the election. And that's exactly what you were talking about, that you'll, cite your source. And I think this all stems from what we've all been through over the past 4 years with COVID.
Yeah, I mean, there was a columnist over at the Indianapolis Star I was having an argument with not too long ago. I know, that's very unsurprising for everyone. But he made the case that Mike Pence had declared that Trump was Jesus. And I was like, you got a source for that? Did, Mike Pence ever go, Trump is God's chosen man? And he's like, well, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to go spend time with my kids. It's like, okay, so you're a liar. Okay. There you go. I mean, if you don't have a time where Mike Pence actually, as an evangelical, stepped forward and said, this is God's anointed, and pointed at Trump, then the argument's a lie. When I make those kind of cases, this school administrator said this, when I get on the air and I say, Dr. Patricia Payne, the head of racial equity for Indianapolis Public Schools, while I was around her, said Asian slurs, Jewish slurs, and a whole lot of other racist, horrible crap, I can point to specific times when she said those horrible things. Because that's what occurred. That's how citing things works.
Okay, so RFK Jr. says that he's no spoiler. And he told Joe Biden, I'll drop out of the race if you perform better than me against Trump in a head-to-head poll. So my question is, what poll is he going to consider? And what is the margin of error for the poll?
So I've said this before. The reason that Donald Trump is in jeopardy when it comes to debating Joe Biden is because Trump chose not to debate any of the other Republican candidates running for president. And that when he came out and he said, I'm not going to debate them, now Biden has an excuse to say, oh, okay, well, then I don't have to debate you. And you can make an excuse. Well, Trump was so far up and he was the incumbent. And look, that may be true. But when Trump chose to buck every single tradition and not debate, and again, it says someone who's gladly going to the polls to vote for Trump this election and has the last 2 times, by the way. Biden has a genuine excuse. So, yeah, I'm sure there will be some poll somewhere, the Omaha Standard left-leaning college blog poll where, actually Biden is beating Trump and it's a margin of error of 58%,
Right.
So, I'm sure something like that will come out that get him out of it.
He says that he'll sign a no spoiler pledge. And is this just like the pledge that they had during the Republican debate, where everybody has to gather around the nominee, the pledge to support whoever it is?
Yeah, because people are childish. There was a time when being part of a political party meant that we will argue, fight, make these kind of discussions and debates within the party to put the best person forward. And whoever that winner is, common sense, we all rally around them. That's how a party system works. And it's an effective way of governing. And a lot of people don't like that, but it's the truth. And what you have is now a system where everyone is so self-centered and egotistical that you have to get them to sign contracts like Speaker Johnson and McCarthy being willing to be ousted by 1 vote, or you have to make sure you support the nominee if they get elected, all this other stuff. It's pathetic, really.
You got an email that I thought was pretty funny. You actually posted about it last night, and we have to talk about that coming up, okay?
Oh, this one's a doozy.
The pickleball.
Oh, yeah, the best news. Incredible. It's breaking.
Yeah, it's on the way. It's the Kendall Casey Show, and that is Tony Kinnett on 93 WIBC.
Tonight on the Tony Kinnett Cast, Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire joins us to chat about why he became Judge Judy, and we have Awful Tweets with Jerry Lopez. Tune in to episode 99 at 7 p.m. right here, or the podcast anytime.
The problem at our border is not complicated. You know that. The real problem is Congress. They say the right thing, but when it comes to it, well, they sell out. Jefferson Shreve takes nothing, owes no one, and can't be bought. Shreve will finish the wall and fund more patrols. And if they came here illegally, he'll send them back. That's Shreve's plan. Common sense, straightforward, do what needs to be done kind of thinking. And Mike Speedy? Yeah, he's the guy posing at the border in his ads, but he paid tuition for illegals with our tax money. And he gave them driver's licenses too. So how can we trust anything he says on immigration or anything else? And he's taken hundreds of thousands from lobbyists, selling out. So if you care about the border, vote for the guy who can't be bought. Law, order, and a secure border. Jefferson Shreve for Congress.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker, and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call Texas 321 now at 800-808-9443. 800-808-9443. That's 800-808-9443.
Chapters of this story take a whole month to tell. This is May. It starts with twists and turns on the IMS road course for the Sancio Grand Prix. Then PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying in the fight for the pole position. May continues with Indy's biggest party, Miller Lite Carb Day. And all roads lead to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge. May is yours. May is ours. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
Listen to Hammer and Nigel this week from 3 to 7 for your chance to win 2 tickets to the Sancio Grand Prix on Saturday, May 11th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. More info at WIBC.com.
Good morning. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob has the day off, and Tony Kinnett from the Tony Kinnett Cast is in the studio.
That's
also
right.
a columnist from the Daily Signal. Thank you so much for being here. So you're a good follow on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, if you're a masochist.
Yeah, it's at the Tonus. Where does the Tonus come from, by the way? That's just
I was
a
in high
Tony
school.
nickname?
I was just in high school, and my friend who had grown up with forever, a guy named Joey, called me Tonus instead of Tony, and it just stuck.
It stuck.
Yep.
And you decided that's a good handle for your Twitter
Well,
account.
if you actually look at when the account was created around 2012, that was when I was finishing up high school. So
About the same time.
there you go.
Yeah. So you tweeted out a couple things yesterday I want to talk about.
I sure did.
One, you said being a radio host is really weird because you'll get emails about border policy, illegal voting, and presidential elections, followed by pickleball is coming to town.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but if you ever get out into journalism, and then your email will get posted to these PR websites, and I hate it so much. And so I get all these emails that are pitching stories to me, and it's all automated, so they're bots anyway, right? But because I'm a journalist in Indiana, they think that every single story is therefore something I want to talk about on the air. Some of them, again, border policy, Biden, and the gubernatorial race, tax increases, high crime. Pickleball is coming to town. So here you go, Casey. We're going to do them a favor. Are you ready for this?
They got to get that info out somehow, too.
All right, boys,
For
girls,
immediate
and squirrels.
release.
For immediate release. The Pickler. which I was going to say the Pickler sounds like the name of a gay bar. But anywho, the Pickler opening first of multiple facilities in Indiana this summer. Summer. And then it says they're opening in northern Indianapolis, the first of multiple Indiana locations. Kevin, you look like a guy who plays pickleball.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be playing pickleball today.
Are you serious?
Yeah, me and my friends are going to go play outside at a park in Greenwood.
Yeah.
So remind me, what is pickleball? Is it just like ping pong ball for sad adults? What is it?
I would say it's kind of like a mix between ping pong and tennis. It's like a smaller tennis, with a smaller court,
But
and similar rules.
but bigger than ping pong.
Yeah, bigger than ping pong.
Why not just play ping pong or tennis?
I love ping pong, but I don't have a table, so it's just easier to go to the park and play pickleball.
You feel like you get a nice cardio workout with your pickleball?
Yeah, definitely. I'm always sweating. And I used to play tennis when I was younger, but I don't know. It's kind of an elitist sport, I think.
Oh, is it? Yeah, okay. I don't really play tennis. I didn't realize that I show up to the tennis courts and they're like, oh, you're not from the Collegiate Institute of Tennis Playing.
So, Kevin, are you excited that the Pickler is coming?
Yeah, that sounds exciting to me. So this is a facility that's opening? Is that what it is?
Yeah. The Pickler facilities. I guess it's like the golf places where they have like merch and like special clubs and stuff that you can get. And I don't know, have some I don't know, cart girl blow on the tees before you put them into the ground. I don't know what these businesses are for.
That sounds awesome to me.
I bet it does.
Yeah, I'm all about that pickler.
Okay, well, I have another one that came this morning while I was on my way to the studio. So I have this one bookmarked here.
You have another pickleball email?
Yeah. Sandusky's RV Resort debuts in Ohio, spring 2024. I cover politics, and the new RV Institute is opening up. Bring your 8.5-wheel RV down. I don't care. Stop sending me this crap.
What, you don't want to go to an RV thing? A
I'll tell you what,
recreational
though,
vehicle location?
When they open the Stuckies the Buc-ee's in Evansville, which, by the way, they should be opening it in Louisville because I-65 matters and Evansville doesn't. Evansville sucks. I'm sorry. It gave us Suzanne Crouch, just the way it is. So when I travel down to Evansville for the very first time to the town that shouldn't exist, and I will cover the opening of Buc-ee's live. I don't care about pickleball. We'll leave that one for Kevin.
Are you a fan of the Buc-ee's?
Oh, yeah. I went to one for the first time in Dallas. I left my hotel and I took an Uber to Buc-ee's.
Just so you could experience it.
And it was as good as they say. That fudge, the jerky, the T-shirts, the people not soliciting me for things in the driveway. I loved not having to go to a Pilot, and I could go to a Buc-ee's instead.
Did you see the Buc-ee's that had the duck?
Yes.
You saw that story?
Yes.
I actually went to that Buc-ee's, and I asked the cashier, is this the Buc-ee's that had the service duck, the animal? And she said, yes, the duck was right over there.
You know, there's
right
there is a change.org petition with over 3,500 signatures to open a Buc-ee's in Florida that has a service alligator.
Really?
I would go to that one.
Well, of course you would.
I mean, if it was on a leash and had all of its teeth pulled.
Wrestling alligators. Hey, do you want to talk about your other tweet that's going on? This one a little bit more serious.
Oh, yeah.
Chaos on university campuses continuing, and you're saying that the Mexican president is blackmailing the United States.
And not just quietly. So Todd Bensman from the Center for Immigration Studies came on the Tony Kinnard cast a couple of days ago. And I asked him how the border situation was going, because we've sent a lot of people down there. It's kind of fallen out of the news. And he said, well, the crossings at the border have decreased, which shocks any conservative journalist right now, because, like, what have we been talking about for the last several months? Why? Because President López Obrador of the Estados Unidos de Mexico has dispatched over 30,000 Mexican soldiers, police officers, and agents all throughout Mexico, royally upsetting the Sinaloa cartel, by the way, which governs half of Mexico, the worst drug cartel on the face of the earth. And they are basically shutting down immigration. They're rounding up immigrants, throwing them onto buses, and shipping them down to Mexico. Or should I say down to
Biden went down and had a big state visit with his counterpart, President López Obrador, about immigration. What about immigration? They didn't really say. That was followed up by separate state visits by Blinken and then by Mayorkas, and their foreign delegation has been in D.C. a bunch of times. And the next thing we know is Mexico has deployed 35,000 Army troops across the northern border, as well as thousands of immigration officials, state police, municipal police, and have been just rounding up immigrants by the thousands, forcing them onto buses and shipping them 1,500 miles to the Guatemalan border and then forcing them to stay there. Obrador is asking for $20 billion. He didn't just do it casually, he did it on 60 Minutes. And in case anybody was thinking he meant something else, the reporter followed up with, that sounds like blackmail. And he responded, well, I just say what I think. He certainly didn't deny it or seek to clarify it.
So then they actually do go on to play the audio from 60 Minutes where he very blatantly says, if I don't get the $20 billion. And by the way, this isn't like the $60 billion in arms and ammunition to Ukraine, where we're actually giving the $60 billion to American arms manufacturers. This is giving a $20 billion liquid asset finance check to Mexico.
Cash.
Yeah. Pallets.
Yeah.
And if not, the migrant flow will continue. So it's blackmail.
All right. I know you have a lot to say about what's going on the university campuses. And Rob Kendall actually is going to make an appearance and give our listeners a tip on something they can do. That's all coming up. It's 93 WIBC.
She isn't working for us, so who is Victoria Spartz working for in Congress? Victoria Spartz said she'd fight the radical left, but spoke in defense of the squad's Ilhan Omar and refused to officially condemn Rashida Tlaib after her hateful, anti-Semitic statements. While there's an invasion on our southern border, Spartz votes to send $40 billion of our tax dollars to Ukraine. Victoria Spartz also says she stands with President Trump. Truth is, Spartz stated it's irrelevant who the president is and helps the Biden administration pass their agenda. Chuck Goodrich is an America First conservative. Chuck built a business that hires and builds American, and Chuck voted to end sanctuary cities. Chuck puts our national defense first by banning any Chinese presence near our military and National Guard bases. Chuck Goodrich fights for our values, voting to protect female sports and keep biological males from competing against young women in Indiana. Vote Chuck Goodrich for Congress. Paid for by Go With Chuck Goodrich.
I'm Chuck Goodrich, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
That moment when you realize you have a serious air conditioner issue. A real strip down to your skivvies, no one's sleeping tonight, head in the freezer fail party. But fear not. There's an expert for that.
Let your local experts at Broad Ripple Service Experts keep you cool with $50 off any repair.
Wanna chill? There's an expert for that.
Call Broad Ripple Service Experts at 866-EXPERTS. See website for license details.
JMV here from SM's Home and Garden in Bargersville and Sundown Gardens in Westfield. May has arrived and Mother's Day is approaching. Spring flowers are on full display, and you have to see the selection. Miss M's Home and Garden at Sundown Gardens are fully stocked with great annuals, trees, shrubs, decor, and more. Get an early jump on Mother's Day. Sundown Gardens, 186th and Spring Mill Road in Westfield. SundownGardens.com. Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135 in Bargersville. MissM'sHomeandGarden.com.
Building a better future for Hoosiers is going to take an outsider. Brad Chambers is the only candidate for governor who's not a career politician. And only Brad Chambers built a national business from nothing. As Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers broke records for job growth all across the state. Jobs with wages higher than ever before. Because of Brad Chambers, higher wages are on the way. And only Brad Chambers can keep them coming.
Paid for by Chambers for Indiana.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
I'm Mark Hurt. I approve this message.
Like you, homegrown Hoosier Mark Hurt has seen Joe Biden drive America into the ground. Are you better off today than 4 years ago? The Democrat economy has delivered daily sticker shock, crime out of control, and an open southern border that's a national disgrace. It's time to turn America around by electing Trump along with the only candidate born and raised in Indiana's 5th Congressional District. Mark Hurt for U.S. Congress. One of us for a change.
Paid for by Mark Hurt for Congress.
Coming up in 2 minutes, the fight for a stadium has begun, but which one will prevail? Plus, Donnie Burgess reports on the latest ruling in the Delphi murder case, and she's ready to begin her pro career. The WNBA preseason starts this weekend. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recycler Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. The UCLA encampment's been cleared. I'm Dave Anthony, and it sounded like this. Early this morning when police clashed with pro-Palestinian protesters on the California campus.
The protesters were locked in arms, right? And they had on their helmets, they had on their masks and so forth like that to stop the pepper spray. And so then the flashbang started. Bang, 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 all night long as police continued to peel back layers. First the fence, then the plywood, then the tents, than the individuals.
Fox's William Lajeunesse watched for hours.
Cops said to them, listen, we'll give you one last chance. You walk away down here, you don't have to be arrested, but if you're staying, you're going to be arrested. So anyone you saw who got arrested wanted to be.
And right now on the UCLA campus,
for all intents and purposes, it's over now, but this place is a total mess.
A UCLA student, Eliana Joukowski, tells Fox,
what is happening on my campus is absolute insanity and chaos, and I don't know how the school has let it come to this point.
She says the chants have been anti-Semitic, and one of her friends who's also Jewish was even attacked by protesters. She says appear to have been bused to campus.
Some of them looked like they were in their 40s or 30s. These aren't all students.
Former President Trump praised law enforcement in Los Angeles and New York for clearing out Columbia protests earlier.
These are radical left lunatics. And they got to be stopped now because it's going to go on, and it's going to get worse and worse.
He's back in court this morning in New York with a hearing into more alleged Trump gag order violations before testimony resumes at his criminal trial. The former president also said before going in,
there's no case, and it should have never been brought. But if it was going to be brought, it should have been brought 8 years ago. You know, we're talking about 2015, 2016. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
He's charged with falsifying records in payments to keep an alleged affair quiet right before he was elected. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Clearing the first hurdle. It's sunny and 71 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Initial approval given by Indy city leaders for an MLS soccer stadium Wednesday, but not all are behind it.
Honor the commitment that we've already passed.
City County Councilor Kristen Jones, who wants the city to stick with building a stadium for Indy 11. A person killed early this morning in a hit and run on the east side. It happened along 38th Street. Police say they got there to find a man dead lying in the street. No suspects yet to speak of. The Delphi defense team will not be held in contempt. Donnie Burgess tells you why.
You probably remember the crime scene evidence leak from suspect Richard Allen's defense team last year. Special Judge Fran Gall ruled Wednesday the state could not prove the attorneys intentionally and willfully leaked evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. A hearing has been set for Tuesday, May 7th, where the defense will argue for a longer trial, and the state will argue that the defense should not be allowed to use certain parts of their case. Jury selection begins May 13th. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Indiana is buying more Israeli bonds.
While the $5 million is the amount that we just invested today, a couple months ago, we actually invested $25 million.
State Treasurer Daniel Elliott, who tells WIBC's Tony Katz that buying the bonds essentially means that the state is helping Israel out with its debt. Elliott says that it helps the state maintain good relations with Israel. Tomorrow night will be the debut of Caitlin Clark in an Indiana Fever uniform.
I don't think the crowds will be much different from what I've had in college, so being able to play in front of that all last year will definitely have experience that I can lean on there.
The Fever facing the Dallas Wings on the road to kick off the WNBA preseason. In the NBA tonight, the Indiana Pacers have another chance to eliminate the Milwaukee Bucks. Tip-off for Game 6 in their playoff series is at 6:30 over on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
This hour on WIBC, powered by Sundown Gardens, Hamilton County's spring nursery headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, May 2nd. It is 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob has the day off, and in his place, Tony Kinnett is joining me in the studio.
Gotta make up for Rob's laziness again. Here we are.
He's playing dad today. So Tony Kinnett, host of the Tony Kinnett Cast, which can be heard Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. on WIBC. Also a columnist from the Daily Signal, and also a former educator. So I have to imagine that you have a lot to say about what has been going on the college campuses across the country. Police in cities and towns all over have been deployed in recent days to clear out the pro-Hamas demonstrators. Since April 18th, more than 1,500 arrests have been made. Over 30 different colleges at IU, they arrested more than 50 demonstrators. And it's been going on at UCLA, Dartmouth, obviously Columbia. You've got things happening all over, even IU and Purdue here. So, Tony, what sparked the protests?
So, first of all, there are a lot of angry, spoiled, rich college children who don't have anything to do because they're not in class and they've all taken out massive student loans or have scholarships to the university or their parents paid for it. So they're not working a job like most of us did when we were in college. And so what they have done instead is set up these huge camps on university, breaking several university rules and laws, not just protesting, because that's what we're told. Oh, they're just protesting the horrible involvement of, so there's two things that they say. They say that they are protesting universities' willingness to do business with businesses that do business with Israel. So it's like the telephone game. And they say Israel's genocidal because Hamas says there's a genocide, even though their numbers have been proven to be, BS and all this other crap. So Israel's really big bad, so we don't want them to do that. Or the United States is complicit, and this is a protest against the country. So they've, decided to crap all over themselves and set up walls on campus with border policies, form these liberation zones, and scream for two things: the extermination of cultural groups and ethnic groups, and the Intifada socialist revolution of the United States. That is actual quoting from what they're saying. And, of course, inciting violence, breaking things on property, vandalizing, trespassing, assault, intimidation, entrapment, things that are, Casey, illegal.
So not just
FAFO'd.
peaceful protesters. Okay, so this has a lot to do with boredom, with wealth, with virtue signaling, with lack of guidance, and really nothing to do with Israel and Gaza.
No. And by the way, the reason that you can tell is because there is nothing that the protesters have actually provided as some kind of a solution or any kind of definitive data that articulates what it is that they find problematic with Israel or Gaza. They're just screaming genocide because Jews. And this is the thing that they have articulated very clearly on camera, up in close, in person to people that they have been preventing from going to classes that have nothing to do at all with the nation of Israel. They're like, can I go to class? Guy's wearing a yarmulke. And they're like, no. And he's like, why? And they're like, because you look like a Jew. And also at University of Wisconsin campus saying Hail Hitler and all other kinds of horrible, nonsensical things. That's not illegal, by the way, to chant those kinds of things. But when you say, I'm going to kill you if you take one more step closer, or I would gladly kill any Zionist within reach, yeah, you can't incite violence. You can't do that. So they effed around and they found out.
Okay, so the House voted yesterday to pass that bipartisan Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. And the bill is supposed to mandate when the Department of Education enforces federal anti-discrimination laws, it uses a definition of anti-Semitism.
That's so
some people
stupid.
are saying it's good. Some people are saying it's an overreach.
Okay, hi. Did you know, Casey, that the president is the president of the United States? I know that the name president kind of implies that you would be the president. And that role, that job, is to be in charge of all the bureaucracy. And so you get to appoint this Secretary of Education who gets to decide what the DOE investigates and how it applies civil rights law. There's also a Department of Justice that gets to enforce the law. This is the funny thing here, and we found this out during the border situation. Biden is not enforcing the law. He's not. And so Republicans are whining about Mike Johnson. Well, why doesn't he pass any funding for the border? Okay, moron. When has Biden ever enforced the law regarding the border? Why all of a sudden are we expecting, just out of the blue, that, oh, we're going to pass the law. That'll make Biden start enforcing it. Oh, that's big-brained thinking right there.
Okay, well, the reporter was asking the wealth of knowledge, Karine Jean-Pierre, about this. Why haven't we heard from Joe Biden? And here was the answer.
Here at home, there's been some dramatic images really across the country over the last 24, 48 hours, especially at the Columbia, UCLA last night, University of Madison, Wisconsin, other campuses. Has the president been monitoring this? And why have we not heard directly from the president about these protests that have taken over institutions of higher learning across the country, the police responses, instances of violence? Why have we not heard directly from the president?
So just a couple of things. The president is being kept regularly updated on what's happening. As you just stated, across the country. He is monitoring the situation closely, so is his team. And I would just add that no president has spoken more forcefully about combating.
Pause. No. Big, huge piles, industrial-sized piles of BS. That is not true. Other presidents, including, by the way, Barack Obama, have condemned protests around certain kinds of racial nonsense. All the way back to, might I remind everyone, the racial riots that surrounded Bush and Clinton. So that is complete. Karine Jean-Pierre, no wonder they're trying to oust her right now. She is not even good at lying.
So CNN reported that he's going to speak about this next week sometime. So way to be on top of it in a timely manner.
Oh, you know, I love the idea that Biden has to stop everything he's doing to condemn the fake crime when Jussie Smollett said he was beaten up by Republicans in downtown Chicago holding a Subway sandwich. But yet we all have to wait and say, oh, we don't need more context. I'm very constantly updated, Delaware. And it's ridiculous that we all have to sit here and pretend that Biden is not flirting with the pro-Hamas youths because that's the last voting demographic he can appeal to. He already has the majority of Democrat suburban women with abortion. No other voting demographic is increasing in turnout expectations for Biden. So he has the youths, who are as likely to come out and vote as Mexico City is to have clean tap water.
Did you see the video that was circling yesterday when you had both sides chanting the same thing about Joe Biden? It was like he finally unified the country. Unified the country in their despise towards him.
Yes, I love it so much because the pro-Hamas protesters think that Biden is aiding and big buddies with Israel because, again, he's playing both sides. He's trying to split the baby. And the pro-Israel side is like, no, he's siding with the Hamas.
Right.
So you got a unified chant. Can we play any of it on air, bleeped or not?
I don't think we can.
So they joined in a large, rousing chant of let's go, Brandon, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, except they didn't say that.
No.
So you had the one side who had the American flags and the Israel flags saying, you know, blank Joe Biden. And they were doing it almost like what you would see at a football game or something.
Or any other gathering of people in 2024.
Right. And then the other side with their scarves and their Palestinian flags were answering with the same.
It is a really powerful moment of unity to remind you all that the intersectional left cannot function. It is not a thing because, again, the fundamentalist, and again, I have to make sure this is very clear. When I say fundamentalist Shia Muslims, I am not talking about Sunni Muslims who are very normal. Again, it's like conflating the Westboro Baptist Church with the Baptist Church, two very different things. That when Shia fundamental Muslims are put in a room with the LGBTQ plus movement, it's not going to be pretty. And so at some point, you have this eating of its own tail, and not to mention the 90s Labor Democrats, who are just good old boys that want to go to work and get a fair pay. That party can't really stand, and it is starting to fracture. And this is the result.
Here's Donald Trump's answer to the protesters. He was given his speech, and this was his advice to them.
All right. Thank you. Go home to mom, right? Go home to your mom.
That's what he tells them. Okay, so let's talk about one of the best photos of 2024 so far, and that was those fraternity brothers. They were being pelted by protesters.
Pi Kappa Phi.
Water bottles, everything. They were at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and they were holding up the United States flag, and it was trying to be removed by protesters, and they said, no, we're not going to let this touch the ground. And that picture, of course, has gone viral. Somebody set up a GoFundMe account for them
to have a party.
Throw them a rager.
A rager
is what it said. Pi Kappa Phi men defended their flag. Throw them a rager. Do you know how much this is up to now, this GoFundMe account?
I know how much it was up to when I donated to it. So I donated to it yesterday when it was at about $25,000 out of the $30,000 goal. What is it up to now?
$378,821. Woo! Isn't that amazing?
Let's go. First of all, I'm actually convinced that if they do, I'm in the process of talking to one of the guys at the fraternity.
Yeah, the one in the blue shirt or one wearing the Hooters t-shirt?
No, a guy I think that's on the right, right side of the photo.
Yeah.
And he and I, anyway, long story short, there was not a zero chance that I might be driving out to this rager with around 150 ribeye steaks to cook for that. Oh yeah, I'm considering it, really.
Okay, so they've raised all of this money. Pi Kappa Phi is a service fraternity, which all of them are. All fraternities and sororities are service-oriented.
As a former fraternity president, I absolutely agree.
As a former sorority vice president.
Let's go. We got the chapter here today, boys and girls.
Okay, so should they donate the money? Should they set up a scholarship? Should they pay for their own medical costs and then throw a party? A lot of people are saying that the kid in the blue shirt in the picture is looking for a summer internship, future employment. I'm looking at these dudes as possible son-in-law material.
So smooth move, smooth stuff.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal, fellas. She's about to graduate Purdue in 8 days, so college degree, which means she's smart. She's studying biology, which means she knows there's only 2 sexes. She has 0 debt, no student loan, and she has a low BMI, and I'm her mom. So
like you wanted to be well taken care of. I hear you.
Right?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I like the in-law maneuvering. I like the matchmaking idea. Very good. I have perhaps a more basic idea. I say donate the money to build a statue of George Washington right in the middle of campus. If all of these stupid LGBTQ plus 2IA can build the statue of Satan with a dress getting an abortion, which is currently on display at the University of Texas, Austin, then I should be able to see a new statue of George Washington holding a piece of paper that says "Own the Libs," just in big bold letters. I want to see that on campus. I mean, hey, look, you got a couple $100,000. Hire someone to do a great statue and then throw a party to christen the statue. And then anchor it with the heaviest metal we can find so no one's tearing that thing down.
So they said, we're overwhelmed by you glorious, patriotic Americans who value good beer and great times. They're in contact with multiple leaders, and they're going to determine what they're going to do with all of this money that
maybe they should use that money to bring the pickler to town. Pickleball coming to UNC. Woohoo!
So Rob Kendall is going to join us next. He got his property assessment, and he actually called and got it lowered. And he's got a tip for our listeners on what they can do to make sure that theirs is on track as well.
I'm ready for this one.
Yeah, it's Kendall and Casey. It's the Kendall and Casey Show. That is Tony Kinnett. It's 93 WIBC.
Let's talk about the knock on you.
Tony Katz.
COVID comes, the state locks down, you are there right next to Governor Eric Holcomb, and you say nothing.
Gets beyond the talking points.
Let me give you the story about you in case you didn't know this. No one knows who you are, sir.
With the GOP gubernatorial candidates.
You're a nice guy. Literally no one has any idea. How do you overcome that? Can you outspend Mike Braun? Because that's what you're going to have to do to win this thing.
Stream all the videos at WIBC.com.
Hey, it's Rob. Why did I choose We Grow Hair Indy to grow my hair back? Simple. They have the best results. Darren Andrews, as clinic director, can you tell us how you get those amazing results that we see on WeGrowHairIndy.com?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Well, it's not just one thing that brings great results. At We Grow Hair Indy, there are 3 things. 1, our microscopic evaluation helps us create the right treatment plan. 2, the best procedure can give you the best results. We're one of only 2 clinics in the entire country to offer the ARTIS robotic FUE procedure and the multi-unit hair grafting procedure.
And I know number 3 is the follow-up care to make sure I'm getting the results I expected. Stay tuned, guys, and watch my hair grow back on my VIP page at WeGrowHairIndy.com. Call 317-522-2995 for your first step, a free evaluation. That's 317-522-2995. Get the results you want and grow your hair back.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Indy with Dana Mecum's 37th Original Spring Classic, May 10th through the 18th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. 3,000 muscle cars, Corvettes, exotics, and more. Broadcast on Motor Trend TV and streaming live on Max. From avid collectors to those new to the Mecum experience, we welcome everyone. Register to bid now at Mecum.com.
Tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show.
When retirement comes about, we're now relying on what we have saved to meet those needs.
Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Billy Mack is a detective down in Texas. You know he knows just exactly what the facts is.
So we've been talking a lot about property taxes. Some people have been talking about them a little bit longer than I have. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And Rob Kendall actually on the phone with us from the family room, took the day off, but had a major victory last night that you want to share with our listeners and also maybe instruct them on how they can have a win. So, Rob, let's talk about the property tax assessment process that you have recently been through.
Yeah, so we've talked about this, Casey. These assessments suck, and they're crippling people, and they're hurting people. But you have opportunities. You don't just have to accept whatever the government tells you, and you have the ability to walk through a process by which you can challenge your assessments. And yesterday I went through that process and won, and they agreed with me, and they found an error that they made in their assessment, and they took quite a bit off my assessment. So I think that's the important thing to people, just to educate people on the fact that just because that skyrocketing assessment shows up in the mail, you do have recourse and ways that you can try to get that assessment lowered if you believe it's been wrongly done.
Okay, so you got your assessment, you looked at it, you thought, no, this doesn't sound right to me. And so what did you do? Like, who did you call? Was there a number on the assessment, or is this something that you had to look up?
Yeah, so what stood out to me, and this happened last year, and the assessor's office caught an error, was that my assessment was a lot higher than all of my neighbors. So I just basically went over and talked to all my neighbors and said, hey, like, what was your assessment? And mine was a lot higher than theirs, and all of our houses are pretty similar in size, and they're built the same year. And so I had called the assessor's office and said, hey, this just doesn't seem right. I get that everybody's assessment's going up. I get how the process works, but there's no reason that my assessment should be so much higher than everybody else's assessment. And so what they did is they worked through a clerical process on their end, and they actually found an error in the way that they were submitting my assessment. It wasn't malicious. It was an inadvertent error, and it ended up taking quite a bit of money off of my assessment. So this is not even the formal appeal process that people can go through. This is just a simply call over there, say, hey, can you look at my assessment? Can you tell me how you came to this number? And then in their process of doing that, they found an error. So I didn't even have to go through the formal appeal process.
Now, how long did it take for you to get this finished?
3 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. So if you look at on your assessment that shows up in the mail, there's going to be a phone number for your county assessor right there. And there's also a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo about how you file a formal appeal. Before you go through that formal appeal, you got to fill out a form. It's a big, long process. It can take many, many months to go through. I encourage everybody just to call the county assessor's office and say, hey, can you take 5 minutes and help me understand how you came to this assessment? And this is very important, look over all the paperwork and ensure that all the information was entered properly, because it's humans entering information, Casey. Doesn't mean it's malicious. It doesn't mean it's ill-intended, but people do make mistakes. And so you have all of these opportunities at your disposal, and there's no harm to any of it. That's what these people do. And in my case, it took 3 minutes. They caught the error, and it saved me roughly $25,000 on my assessment.
Wow, that's a lot. That's Rob Kendall from the Kendall and Casey show on the line. It's 93 WIBC. Now, Rob, I vaguely remember, did this happen to you last year as well?
Yeah, it was the same thing. And again, I went through the same process. I got my assessment. I went to my neighbors to the north and to the south, and then also, kind of all around me, and was looking at what theirs were. It's public record. You can ask your neighbors, or you can look it up online. You're not getting any super secret information. And you can kind of compare if you guys have similar houses. And all of our houses are pretty similar. They're built the same years. There was no reason that there should have been that big of a discrepancy. And so that was the red flag to me. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. And there is a formal appeal process that you can walk through. You have to submit it. You can submit it via mail or email. And then that becomes kind of a legal long process. What I'm talking about here is it costs you absolutely nothing to call the county assessor. The phone number should be right on your assessment form. And just ask them very nicely, just say, hey, I don't agree with this assessment. Can you walk me through how you guys came to that assessment? And can you review all the paperwork submitted to make sure that it is correct? Because they're supposed to be going off of like properties. And like in the case of mine, when I entered the like properties on the little QR code that they have on your assessment, there were no like properties. And I know, how closely I monitor the sales of homes in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I knew there were no sales on this street over the past year. And I thought that isn't computing on how they're coming up with this number. And they were very polite, and they admitted you're correct. And we've made this mistake, and we've rectified the mistake, and it won't happen again.
Okay, now is this something that you're going to have to go back and do every single year? Because it seems like, human error or not, they've made it 2 years in a row now.
Well, here's the great thing about the Hendricks County Assessor's Office, and I got to give them a lot of credit. They have twice now admitted we made this mistake.
Yeah.
And the same lady both years, and she was super polite and super apologetic. Because they're not out to get you. I think all of these county assessors across the state are like drinking from a fire hose here, Casey.
Yeah.
I think they're getting bombarded with people who are just livid about their assessment. So I think they're looking to try to help people, especially if there's an obvious mistake or a way that they can, kind of help rectify a situation. And what she admitted is she said, yeah, I made this mistake last year. And what I didn't enter is the information to go forward for the next year. And that's 100% my fault. And I've done that. And now you won't have that issue anymore. So that's the one thing I would encourage people is most of these county assessors, they want to help you. They don't want you to be angry at them. If there's a way they can help you, they're all in this cup of soup together.
Yeah.
And they want you to be happy with the process, even if you don't get the end result.
Yeah. Now, is this going to affect your property tax bill?
Yes, it will go down because obviously property taxes are assessed at 1% of the assessed value. And so hopefully that will save me a little bit of money. And so, again, I would just encourage everybody, before you go through the big, long appeals process, simply just call your county assessor, ask them to help you understand how they came to that assessment, and ask them to review your paperwork and make sure there were no clerical errors made. They won't be mad at you. That's their job. That's what they do. And even if they don't help you there and you got to go through the appeals process, it costs you $0 to do it.
Right. Just double check. Congratulations. That's good news for you.
Yeah, thank you. And you and Tony have a great rest of the show today, and I'll see you guys back here on Monday.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
What people suffering from nasal breathing, snoring, and sleep apnea problems want is for their issues to be fixed. And at Advent, that is precisely what we do. Here, there are no Band-Aids, but there is a thorough approach to get to the root of your problem. And in tens of thousands of cases, finding simple solutions, which are undeniably effective, have made remarkably positive impacts on people's lives. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. For years, patients have been traveling literally from around the world to come to us to find what no one else has been able to give them. And that's why now we've come closer to you.
If your quality of life has been diminished because of nasal breathing, snoring, or sleep apnea problems, and you don't know who to turn to, go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
colleagues on opposite sides. It's sunny and 73 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 8:30. Democrats in Congress expressing their take on police being called in to clear out a Columbia campus building full of protesters this week. Fox's Ryan Schmelz.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says the police officers who cleared a building occupied by protesters at Columbia University should be commended.
As far as I can tell, the efforts by the NYPD were thorough, professional, and they exercised a degree of calm.
Some of his fellow New York Democrats don't feel the same way. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez telling Fox News Radio the mobilization by city leadership was, quote, wholly irresponsible and unwarranted. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Speaking again before going back into court.
It was nice to be able to campaign one day without being in this ridiculous show trial.
Former President Donald Trump, as his hush money criminal case continues, he's also facing more penalties as he's accused of again violating the gag order in the case. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577.
Service today?
Today.
Chapters of this story take a whole month to tell. This is May. It starts with twists and turns on the IMS road course for the Sancio Grand Prix. Then PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying in the fight for the pole position. May continues with Indy's biggest party, Miller Lite Carb Day. And all roads lead to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gangbridge. May is yours. May is ours. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Reggie was a nurse for 16 years.
I had become very burnt out. I wasn't making good money.
Then it happened.
There was an ad for My Computer Career, and it just spoke to me.
My Computer Career was the best decision he ever made.
I could study anywhere from my laptop, and I was working in the first couple weeks of me being in class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Mother's Day is almost here. Miss M's Home and Garden is fully stocked with high-quality annuals, trees, shrubs, decor, and more. State Road 135 in Burgersville.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
This is the portion of the program we turn over to you, 317-684-8444. It is time for your voicemails on 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. Tony Kinnett is in for Rob Kendall today. So earlier this morning, we were talking about collectibles and how Caitlin Clark's rookie card got a $10,000 purchase, an anonymous bidder.
Right. Then you ask me, do we have any, do I do any of that?
Collectibles, that sort of thing.
We got a few to maybe pass down to the kids, something like that. So you decided to throw that one to your own progeny.
Well, the dude texted me and he said, you guys were talking about collectibles and handing down heirlooms to kids. I asked Emily if she wanted anything that we have after we die, and her response was, what do you got? Nothing, because we paid for your college rather than waiting for the president to transfer that debt to somebody else. So that's what you got. You got a college education. She graduates from Purdue in 8 days. And I can't wait.
Congratulations.
Yeah, speaking of university campuses, our first voicemail is about the protesters.
Hey, these women that are on the microphones, I see one problem in all of them. They ain't getting no loving. That's the problem.
So Megyn Kelly had something similar to say about the protesters. And I'm not sure if this is offensive or not. So we'll let you decide.
Well, that's right up my alley.
Yeah, we'll let you decide.
And by the way, why are they so unattractive? I really legitimately want to know. Why are all the protesters so homely? I don't think they're unconnected. I'm not going to lie. I think attractive, smart people are not drawn to this nonsense. They're living their lives being successful. It's the unattractive and or dumb people who feel the need to do this to feel like they matter. Sorry, hard truth.
What I have to say is so much worse. I've seen the arrest photos of the protests, and it looks like the individuals who are a generation after what happened at an incest convention. Literally, what these people look like is horrible. And it's all a bunch of really sad, like facially overweight, and yet somehow also gaunt, like LGBTQ plus 2IA, all of the letters, all of the pronouns. Hair is like half shaved off, half blue, half pink. There's like a booger sticking out of her eyebrow. And they show up and they're like, we deserve rights. It's like, no, you deserve a shower.
Do you think that has any legitimacy to what the guy yesterday we heard from a guy, and he said that this is just the kids who didn't get invited to the party, so they're throwing their own?
No, I don't think so. I think that this is actually popular to be this kind of weird, cringy, gross, witch-looking creature from a children's storybook. And again, it's out of boredom. I don't think it's that, they're not getting laid. No, that's 90s thinking. Oh, they're not invited to the party. That's 2000s thinking. This is the era of it's really cool to be some kind of grungy counter-protester, weird, depressed off your rear end.
You have to have a problem to get attention.
Yeah, and so why not look like a problem as well? Because again, if you feel as though your life is just an endless string of problems, why would you actually make yourself look presentable and nice and have any kind of ambition when you can just sludge around?
Did you see the document list of all of the needs that the protesters were requesting at UCLA?
I loved it so much.
We have to review some of these items.
Yes, we do.
They were in urgent need of headlamps, airsoft goggles, gas masks and respirators, skater helmets, shields, wood, knee and elbow pads, rain ponchos, canopies, utility gloves, super bright flashlights with strobe, charged. They also wanted umbrellas. They asked for different medical equipment as well, like EpiPens and organizational bins, non-steroid inhalers. And for food, hot for lunch, 3 exclamation points, important in all capital letters, 2 exclamation points. They also requested vegan food, gluten-free food.
With no bananas.
No bananas, ice, no packaged food, no coffee, no bagels, no bananas, no nuts.
You don't want bagels, those Jews, you know.
And here's the thing. At the top of this needs list, it says the boycott app will help with this. They have an app, an actual app for their protest.
This isn't so. My favorite thing is there's a guy on Twitter. He posted a picture of Dave Chappelle. So I'm going to try to read this as Dave Chappelle would read it. They got knee pads, rope, zip ties, lotion, Aquaphor. Man, what the heck y'all doing in there?
What is going on? But back to
really though, like you ever heard the going to the grocery store and you put weird items on the conveyor belt to freak out the cashier? Seriously though, they have, again, I'm going to read this list: knee pads, rope, zip ties, lotion, Aquaphor. Bow chicka bow wow. I think that's a very gross sounding event going on in those tents.
But back to your mugshot and description of them. Many of these people do not look like they're college aged. No. They're 40 plus years old.
No, did you see the University of Florida arrests? They have like 45-year-old San Juan Cajín from Venezuela in there. Dude looks like he should be running an auto shop on 35th and H, not like in a protest. Seriously, this guy looks like a man who worked on my dad's air conditioner 13 years ago.
Ronald Reagan had something to say about protesters on campuses. Now, here's a classic clip from him. He's referring to the protesters at Berkeley years ago.
Now, why did you negotiate many times? Negotiate? What is to negotiate? What is? What
University is a public institution.
That's right. But the university,
for its own community and for the community of Berkeley that live around it.
All of it began the first time some of you who know better and are old enough to know better let young people think that they had the right to choose the laws they would obey as long as they were doing it in the name of social protest.
Boom.
I'm going to make this point very clear. People in their 20s should not be out here protesting stuff. And the people, every time that history has had a student-led protest and revolution, that's been the right side. That's what all of the left-leaning people are saying. No, the Third Reich began with a college student-led series of protests, not to mention Cambodia, Laos, China, all led by these youth college-age students executing the elderly and shaping institutions in their fashion. How's that working out for you, corporations and universities? Not well.
Okay, well, let's go a little closer to home. Here's what Mike Braun had to say about what's going on.
Here's what we've got. We've got colleges that cost us way too much. I think tuition at Columbia is $66,000. UCLA, I guess a bargain at $15,000. But think of the public universities. Taxpayers pay for most of that. They generate degrees oftentimes that don't land a good job, and then they got to finance the loan forgiveness. And you combine all the woke ideology that's mixed with it. I hope Americans are paying attention, because that's the dysfunction of when you try to please too many people. You do it with a woke ideology that comes back to haunt you.
I'm sorry. Look, the sentiment of what he's saying may be great, but I hate it when people do that. Well, if you look at the taxpayer who's funding these programs that aren't working out, how about this? It's evil. What they are doing is evil. It is morally wrong, and therefore I ain't paying for it. I said everything he said in like 8 words. There you go. You don't need to go, well, actually, they're having a job, and then we're financing that. It's expensive. It's wrong. If you don't like it, too bad. You're 20 and you smell like weed and crap. I don't care what you have to say.
Well, I understand what he's saying, though. Taxpayers fund the universities. They produce this craziness and this chaos.
Yeah, what he's saying is right.
And then the taxpayers foot the bill to repay the student loans when they can't get a job.
It's like the parent who keeps picking up after their kids mess long after they're out of high school. They keep bailing them out after each new arrest, after each new getting fired. I understand that. Again, what he's saying is factually correct. But I'm tired of these Republicans saying the same crap as though we need to like outline mathematically why, well, if you look here at all of the details of why it's wrong. No, everyone knows it's wrong. You and I know, everyone in this state, everyone in this country, innately, in your heart, you are very well aware that this kind of crap is morally wrong. There you go. That's the argument. Post-suite.
Jason Hammer's going to join us next. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel Show, back at it this afternoon. We start right after the news, 3:06. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. Somebody may lose their pants. I don't know, but it's going to be fun. 93 WIBC.
Bill Frazier is a Hoosier, an American, who has served our citizens with distinction, determination, and a wisdom that comes with years of experience. Now, Bill Frazier is ready to dedicate his life to serving you as your next congressman in Indiana's 6th District. Bill Frazier is a true conservative. He'll fight for a secure border, smaller government, and lower taxes. He will be a tireless advocate for the Second Amendment and the rights of the unborn. Bill Frazier is a veteran paratrooper, a successful farmer and business owner, a licensed commercial jet pilot, a man with experience. When President Ronald Reagan needed expert advice on agricultural issues, he called on a young Hoosier farmer, Bill Frazier. Ronald Reagan trusted Bill Frazier. You can too. Vote for experience and determination. Vote for the true conservative Hoosier. Vote for Bill Frazier for Congress.
I'm Bill Frazier, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Bill Frazier.
Visit Damon's Lawn and Garden and Greenhouse for endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, and spectacular hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies. Their knowledgeable staff is ready to assist you. For any of your gardening needs, experience Damon's on West Rockville Road. Go to Damon's.com for more. That's Damon's.com.
Damon's Lawn and Garden, Indiana's most complete garden center.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare. And that's MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month switching to MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. And that's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. And joining me today, because Rob is off, is Tony Kinnett from the Tony Kinnett Cast. Woo! And also in the studio right now, Jason Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel program. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. And Tonus, and that's what we call you because that's what your Twitter handle is, the Tonus.
That's right.
When's the big 100th episode extravaganza?
It is tomorrow. So we're bringing on some big national journos, bringing on Hammer and Nigel, and we're just going to kind of make a mess. Yeah, it'll be fun.
There's a great South Park episode, and I can't remember if it was 100 episodes or 200 episodes where, and it kind of ties into today. You had the war protesters against the We Love America people. One was a little bit country, one was a little bit rock and roll, and they all came together at the end, and they were celebrating the fact that they had enough episodes to go into syndication. So that's what I want to hear tomorrow on your big 100th extravaganza.
So I cannot reveal, I'm going to get in trouble. I can't reveal that we have plans for syndicated related things yet overtly, but I can allude to there's some future stuff in the works. The show's done well. We've had a really great community. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm proud to report that my third petition for the show getting thrown off the air up to number 3, this one got 36 signatures.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know you're doing something right when people want you to get thrown off the air or they try to use some sort of term that they think is like a gotcha thing. Because we get called shock jocks, those rock DJs. Yeah, okay, whatever, bite me.
Called me you're a conservative pundit. Yes, and it turns out people like listening to that. Anything else?
I love the conversation you guys had, fueled by Megyn Kelly, talking about how ugly some of these protesters are. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm, Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11, but I do all right. Yeah, I've been married for a long time, and even before then, I did okay.
Yeah.
But these people, these are mutants. These people just look like the worst table at every wedding.
I'm serious. I've never actually seen a lineup of mugshots in which I'm fine. That really could be someone who just drew a face on a thumb.
Right. That's what we said about Brian Stelter. That's why we called him the thumb. If you took a little pen and drew this little face of concern on your thumb, that was Brian Stelter of CNN.
I mean, I'm just concerned because remember when the era of like cartoons in the 90s when all of the characters were just butt ugly? Like, Beavis and Butthead and then all the Nickelodeon cartoons, like the people were all misshapen. I seriously think that someone slapped those papers with a magic wand and now we have them waltzing around. It's like the Rugrats mixed with Beavis out here.
Big weekend. Kentucky Derby is coming up this weekend.
Yeah, you going?
So I'm not going this year, but the coupon lady and I have made a decision. We're going to go next year.
Nice.
Just haven't had time this year. New house, all kinds of different stuff. But next year, and this may surprise you, I've never been to the Derby.
You're going to love it.
I am looking forward to it. I'm going to gamble. I'm going to drink. I'm going to, have the suit on.
Yep.
I think she's going to have the big hat, and we're going to do it upright next year.
Get some mint juleps. Have a good time.
Maybe I need to talk to Bethany about heading down there next year. That sounds fantastic, because I got to tell you, I went by accident one year. It was literally by accident, and I had an absolute blast.
It's
I wasn't
very
expecting
much like
it.
the Indy 500.
Well, see, that's the rough part, is that I, as a very aggressive Hoosier, I've been to the Kentucky Derby. I still have yet to actually go to the 500, but I'm thinking this is the year that I'm going to go, and I'm going to let just all of the WIBC crew just show me around through the whole thing.
Now, Hammer, on Friday of the Kentucky Derby is the Kentucky Oaks, and that's when everybody wears pink. The year I went, the dude wore pink pants, and everybody wears pink.
Awesome.
Yeah. Are you okay with wearing pink?
Yeah, I have no issue with it at all. I'm not insecure like Rob is. Rob won't wear a jersey. Rob won't wear pink pants. And this is why Rob's miserable with very little friends. And this isn't anything. I'm not just saying this because he's not here. I've told him that right to his face. I'm like one of his only friends, and I don't even really like him.
Look, I think the most important thing, as long as you don't show up in a pair of pink assless chaps, I think we'll be okay.
Those are my protest pants. That's what I've got earmarked for Columbia, Tony.
I think that's like the campus uniform over there.
All right, Pacers play tonight. Give us the lowdown. What's the rundown?
Man, I'm scared to death.
Are you?
Because they had every opportunity to just take the life out of Milwaukee, end them in their own house. They didn't have their two best players, and they laid a total egg the other night. And tonight, Las Vegas has them as an 8.5 point favorite. Pacers as favorites struggle. So I'm worried about tonight, but if you're going to the game, take out all your frustrations on Milwaukee. Dame and Giannis are doubtful. They haven't been ruled out, but they're doubtful for tonight. Tip-off is at 6:30. It's a gold out.
Right.
Everybody gets a gold T-shirt. So if you're upset about property taxes, if you're upset about these protests,
these are the frustrations you're talking about.
take it out on Bobby Portis of the Bucks tonight.
And if the
Let him be your punching bag.
Look, and if the camera is blocked, just tell Brooke Lopez to get the heck out of the way. Dude's a mountain. He's ridiculous, man.
And here's what sucks. I used to be like a locker room reporter guy, like multiple radio stations ago. And when he first got in the league, and he's been there a while.
Right.
And I'd stick a microphone in his face when he played for the Cavs.
Reach that high?
He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, you hate it when people that are on the other team are actually super nice dudes. Like, the nicest athletes that were cool to the media, Shaquille O'Neal was number one. Like, he was a rock star. Even after losses, he'd make sure you'd get a fun soundbite and, he'd give you anything you need.
Does it make it harder to cheer against them when you know that they're nice?
Not hard per se, but you don't hate them. Like, even on the teams you like, there were some a-holes.
Right.
I covered those wild Pacer teams of Artest and Steven Jackson and Jamal Tinsley, and that's a group of dudes you don't want to root for.
When you like the guys on the other team, there's almost a
Troy
new
Murphy.
kind. There's a new kind of aggression that comes in your cheering, because then it's actually, you want it to be technical expertise out on the court.
Right.
So instead of I want to see them mad and I want to see them lose, I just want to see my team outshine what I already like as a good standard,
And then when somebody is on your team and they're a good person, and then they get traded to another team, you find yourself rooting for that player. I'm friends with Matt Overton. He played in the NFL for years as a long snapper, just a bizarre skill that he had. And when he went from the Colts, he joined the Titans. He played for the Jags, big rivals of the Colts. I wanted him to lose, but I wanted him to do well.
Right. So you still followed him. Your fandom went to whatever team he was on.
Right. I would send him a text message. I'm rooting for you, and I hope you lose every game.
Okay, another big game coming up tomorrow is the Fever and Caitlin Clark's debut.
Yep, preseason action for the WNBA. Normally, that's kind of an afterthought. And when the schedule first came out, it was. This was originally a 12:30 in the afternoon game at Dallas. But now it's Caitlin Clark and company. They've moved it to 8 p.m. So Dallas is going to have a full house tomorrow. They've got the NBA game in the big arena, and then they're going to have the WNBA in a secondary arena. But still, 8 p.m. is a lot better than 12:30, and I think they can sell it out.
Okay, so she was downtown last night doing a little photo op. Did you see any of that action?
No. We were here, and I think we missed all of it. It was media day for the Fever, and they were filming all the montage stuff you see on the Jumbotron
Right,
for starting lineups and pictures and media day, things like that.
Obviously, they want the monument in the background for all of that.
Right. And so far, it seems like everybody's getting along on that team. I still want to see what happens when halfway through the year, she's getting all the attention. She's selling all the jerseys.
Are they still going to support her?
Right.
Yeah.
Because this happened in golf, and Rob and I have talked about this. When Tiger Woods was coming up through the ranks, there were a bunch of golfers that were like, why is this guy getting all the attention? We've been here longer. We've won tournaments. And these morons don't understand. More people are watching your sport because of this athlete.
Right. What do you have coming up today?
Today, it's Thursday, so Rob will call in and go off the rails.
Nice.
We've got Grand Prix tickets to give away, and there's a good chance somebody is just going to get real liquored up and say something inappropriate.
It's going to be Kevin. That's the shocking part. Thank you, Hammer.
Thank you.
It is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Sinus pain. You know it all too well. It's constant. It's frustrating. The pressure, the headaches, the snoring, the constant clogged feeling. You're tired of feeling like this, but you've tried nasal sprays, over-the-counter medicines, even home remedies. No matter what you try, nothing gives you lasting sinus relief. You're tired of missing out and feeling miserable. There is something you can do. Something different. Indianapolis Sinus Center. The physicians at Indianapolis Sinus Center have been serving the community with proven treatments for over 50 years. They know what you're going through, and they're standing by ready to offer you the best treatments to provide long-term relief. Breathe better. You don't have to keep suffering from sinus pain. Call Indianapolis Sinus Center today at 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward relief. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or go to IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. But right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com. Or call 800-948-6033 to speak to an expert. That's 800-948-6033.
You love spring in Indy, but you hate to paint, so do what Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
The house that Rhino Shield did for my husband and I, after having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Indy, you too can have the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, John Herrick reports on the video that shows a water rescue in Hamilton County, plus what the city approved last night despite misgivings from soccer fans. And Donnie Burgess breaks down the latest homicide numbers released by IMPD. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock. Another pro-Palestinian tent camp cleared out on a college campus. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. This one at UCLA.
There have been hundreds of arrests. Now the cleanup begins.
That campus in California littered with the debris left behind after police cleared protesters out a few hours ago. Fox's William Lajeunesse watched it all happen.
Basically, they began to peel back the layers. They started with the plywood and the fences, took that down, and then came in. And they slowly moved forward. And they started knocking down these push-up tents and then started making arrests.
Those protesters were zip-tied, in some cases unmasked, and escorted away by police officers. Before returning to court this morning in New York, former President Trump praised police in Los Angeles and in New York City earlier this week, where other encampments were cleared at Columbia and City College.
We're not letting the radical left morons take over this country.
We expect to hear shortly from President Biden from the White House. He's not said much in the last few days about the protests, though in a statement he did call for peaceful demonstrations and condemned dangerous hate speech. Also in reaction to all the protests and arrests at college campuses nationwide, the House passed what's called the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act.
It would require the Department of Education to use the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's working definition of anti-Semitism when enforcing anti-discrimination laws. 91 lawmakers voting against the bill mostly had free speech issues. Florida Republican Matt Gaetz saying, quote, the gospel itself would meet the definition of anti-Semitism under the terms of this bill.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Back to former President Trump. He's in court again now in New York as testimony is going on at his first criminal trial, saying before going in,
Could have been brought 8 years ago. Instead, they wait and wait and wait. They know it's not a good case.
Now, he is charged with falsifying records and payments to keep an alleged affair he denies quiet before the 2016 election. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A car upside down with a woman inside. It's sunny and 74 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. That's what police found earlier this week in Hamilton County. John Herrick reports on what happened next.
Officers and firefighters were told about the car being fully submerged in water on Tuesday. Body cam footage from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office shows the officers being underwater trying to rescue her after she was trapped inside. And then they got her out. She went to a hospital with chest pain, but survived. John Herrick, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
Initial approval has been given to build a new soccer stadium in hopes of bringing an MLS expansion club to Indianapolis, even though many are urging the city to stick with a stadium already in the works. The city's development commission approved the MLS plan on Wednesday.
They want 11 Park to be built as planned, regardless of which jerseys are worn on that field.
City County Councilor Kristen Jones. As you know, the DEA is looking to reclassify pot as a less dangerous drug. Senator Mike Braun says he's fine with that idea, but is still less inclined to support legalizing pot for recreational use. Braun is running for governor of Indiana. Homicides in Indianapolis are down compared to this time last year. Donnie Burgess.
There are still about 45 unsolved homicides in Indianapolis, so says IMPD's monthly homicide report. Police say they need your help.
They can call the homicide office. They can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 262-TIPS.
IMPD officer Amanda Hipschman. The report shows a 15% drop in criminal homicides in the first 4 months of this year as compared to last year. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Another chance to put the Milwaukee Bucks away.
I think we're definitely looking forward to the challenge. You know what I mean? We know nothing's going to be handed to us. Nothing's going to be given to us.
Indiana Pacers forward Miles Turner. If they win tonight, they eliminate the Bucks and move on to the Eastern Conference semis. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey, it's Amber Nigel, and look, if you're over 60 and you've not filed for Social Security, there's some stats you might want to know about.
Did you know that 96% of Americans forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income.
Wow. And it's because they file for their benefits at the wrong time. Now, you could learn how you could wring every nickel out of the benefits with a free customized Social Security analysis from Bill Demery. He's your retirement guy right here in Indy.
The free analysis makes filing for Social Security as easy as it can be, and it could help ensure you get the last penny out of the benefits that are rightfully yours.
So if you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and you've not filed for Social Security, call now, 317-648-5120. That's 648-5120. Schedule your free analysis by calling Bill Demery at 648-5120. And tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
This hour on WIBC is powered by Miss M's Home and Garden, Johnson County Spring Nursery Headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, May 2nd. It is 5 minutes after 11. This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob has the day off, and in his place, Tony Kinnett is joining me in the studio.
Yo.
From the Tony Kinnett Cast, which can be heard Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. right here on this radio station. He's also a columnist from the Daily Signal, opinionated and biased.
That's
but
right.
He puts that out up front so you know you can believe him.
That's right. I give you the facts right up front. I cite my sources, and then I tell you why everyone's really stupid, and you shouldn't bother paying attention to them.
So at least you're transparent about your bias.
That's true, but we'll never
don't try and hide it.
Transparent.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Let's talk about this new report that says almost 1 million Americans are owed over $1 billion in IRS tax refunds. However, you only have 2 weeks left to claim them.
This sounds like a commercial ad. It does. It sounds like this is something that we should be recording during a commercial break. Are you serious? There's this kind of unclaimed money? Again, this sounds like a commercial. Where do I go to check for these returns? Because if there's $1 billion out there, I mean, I know spread over 350 million Americans, that's a little different. Where does one go to look at this stuff?
Well, you go to the IRS website. There are about 900,000 Americans. They're missing these funds. And these are from the 2020 tax refund. Now, you might recall back in 2020, there was an extension that was granted due to COVID, right?
Okay.
And so the average median refund was $932. They say that their typical payout was over $1,000. But my question is, if you've got money lying, like, how do you not know exactly how much money you were owed and not keep track of it?
My question is also, why does the IRS, if I've just filed my taxes this year with a specific address, why do they need me to come and claim the money that is mine instead of putting it in an envelope or direct depositing it into my bank account and sending it my way? Why does it all of a sudden I have to come claim it for them? Why is all of the work on me? We have this entire big old honkin' bureaucratic organization.
Well, you remember how understaffed they were, right?
Oh, yeah, not enough overweight LGBTQ people sitting there arguing over what conservative organizations to prosecute.
So they say that if you're one of those people that was eligible for one of these refunds, you're advised to start the process as soon as possible. Start filling out your forms and request your copies of your 2020 documents now, because it's possible that you've got money laying on the table and you don't even know it.
I mean, I'm going to do some looking around and finding out, because I absolutely would love a few of my smackaroos back that I'm supposed to have.
Okay, so in the state of Indiana, there are an estimated 19,200 people who have money left.
Oh, just 19,200? Okay, so it's very unlikely that it's me.
And they say that the potential refund averages $922. And across the state of Indiana, $20,000 left unclaimed. Over $20,000. No, $20 million, I'm sorry.
I was like, that's either way.
I left a zero off.
I mean, we might do like a quick deep dive. Again, you should pay attention when doing your taxes. Obviously, the IRS should be completely abolished because it's a Ponzi scheme. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, they should also be abolished. Come at me, I don't care. These types of financial schemes that cause American headaches are ridiculous. and also every other governmental scheme that causes me a headache. And yes, I'm including daylight savings time. All of this junk is stupid. I don't know why some fat bureaucrat who I didn't elect gets to decide these things. No, throw them out of office, or even better, throw them in jail.
Okay, let's talk about this.
I knew you'd like that.
Well, I mean, don't vote for the incumbent, right?
Right.
Let's talk about this article that you sent my way from the Daily Signal, where you're a journalist at. And it is the DOJ's Kristen Clark testified under oath that she was never arrested. However, court records and text messages indicate that she would, in fact, was.
This is huge. This is an actual, genuine, honest-to-God bombshell. So, Clark, who...
She's the Assistant Attorney General.
Right. Clark, who is the director, the chairwoman, whatever you want to call her, of the, as it was called by Eric Holder, the crown jewel of the DOJ, the Civil Rights Department Division. This is the organization that gets to decide what a hate crime is, that gets to decide what schools, what churches, what organizations to investigate based on civil rights law. This person, in testifying before the Senate hearings, you guys know the Senate hearings. Remember the one where Brett Kavanaugh drank beer and everyone threw a bunch of monkey poop
before they
around?
get confirmed.
Yeah, all that stuff, the big hearings. And so under oath, this person was asked directly, overtly, have you ever been involved in or accused of or arrested over a domestic violence case? And she looked the senator, Tom Cotton from Arkansas, square in the eye and said, no. And now, according to court records and a host of other things found by the Daily Signal's Mary Margaret Olahan, our senior reporter, that is an overt lie, which means this woman straight up perjured herself in front of the United States Senate. Now, you might say, well, but that court record where she almost cut her husband's finger off before he called police with a knife, came at him with a knife, he shielded himself, she almost cut his finger off when she slashed at him, right? That was expunged from the court because her husband chose not to press charges, probably because she was afraid she was going to finish the job. And that people are saying, well, it was expunged so she could answer no. That's not how that works. According to every federal court regulation, according to the documents that she filled out, they include the word even if they were expunged in the questions, which means she still perjured herself. And she could have clarified earlier on and said, well, in a private hearing, you can talk about the expungement. We just don't want to talk about that in front of people because it was expunged. That's a different case. She didn't do that.
Okay, well, they asked her if she had ever been arrested or accused.
Bingo.
And she said no. And so definitely, even if it was expunged or not, they asked if she had been accused.
It is a clear case of perjury by one of the highest members of the Department of Justice. And it gets worse because CNN is already trying to run cover-ups. So, of course, they didn't cite Mary Margaret's story. They actually did get out of her that she admits that she perjured herself. It's a major, major scandal. And here's the real reason why. And you and I were talking about this before the segment. The Civil Rights Department, Civil Rights Division.
Right, Civil Rights Division.
Right. They handle cases that are ancillary, basically, in finding out the motive behind a lot of crimes. So if you were, let's say, you're President Daniels, and you are appointing someone who will be the head of the Civil Rights Division, wouldn't you, as president, want someone who is not connected to domestic violence and abuse cases or arrests, or, like earlier on in Clark's career, very huge anti-Semitic allegations and other stuff? Like, wouldn't you want someone who might be considered neutral in those kind of cases?
Or at least somebody who has a clean record on the topic.
Right. This is a very big deal. If you're involved in a civil rights litigation in which there is an individual who is black and an individual who is white, and it's a domestic violence case, that brings the civil rights team in. Now there are things on the board because you're already someone who has been accused of and arrested for domestic violence.
Okay, so Biden and even Kamala Harris, they were celebrating her as the first black woman to head the Civil Rights Division. And they said that she would focus on fighting voter suppression and also hate crimes across the country. But clearly they have put somebody in charge who wasn't being transparent about her past.
And that's the question, because she's using her position like Eric Holder, who used to be the wingman for Obama. Now she is using her DOJ position for civil rights as a bat to swing at any right-leaning, conservative, Christian, or Jewish organization. And as she is doing this, She is, again, being revealed to have perjured herself. Like a lot of these equity hires, their entire career is a sham. Whether we're talking about plagiarism in the academia, whether we're talking about, again, perjury as a member of the Department of Justice. Holy crap.
Yeah, okay,
I mean,
so 2 questions.
It's like OJ being appointed to a not murdering your wife organization.
Is it illegal, and what are the consequences?
It's extremely illegal to perjure, and it's very, very insane. The consequences are that she should be immediately thrown out of the office and disbarred. I mean, that's like a base. That's like a given. And by the way, this is one of the reasons that Project 2025, which is supposed to be the harbinger of doom if Trump guts the bureaucracy, if this is one that we've caught, like the border, how many of them are sitting in there that we haven't caught? If you are a member of any kind of governmental organization, you should have to, and Eric Doden running for governor put this very well, at the bare minimum, you should have to reapply to work for whatever department every single time. It should not be this eternal, decades-long, cushy, soft job.
So all of this does is just undermines the trust of the American people.
There was any trust left in the American people?
I'm assuming that there was some there to begin with.
Of you. Yeah.
That is Tony Kinnett. He's filling in for Rob Kendall today. It's 93 WIBC. You mentioned earlier that you've never been to the Indy 500.
That's true.
And the 500 Festival Parade have announced the Grand Marshal. It's going to be Tamika Catchings, former Fever basketball player.
Okay.
And have you ever been to the parade?
I have not been to the parade. Again, there's a lot of stuff that growing up in Henry County that we didn't just travel into Indianapolis for. But now that I'm doing all of the stuff that I'm up to these days, I'm considering experiencing some of these shenanigans just to see if it's really worth all of the hype. I don't really care for parades. Actually, that's not true. I hate parades. I hate them very much. I think that they are hot, sweaty affairs that are lackluster. And I'm sorry, but watching your junior softball team ride around in the back of a truck pelting toddlers with candy. Okay, pelting toddlers with candy is really funny. But other than that, I don't really care. Is this parade worth going to? Tell me about the Indy 500 Grand Parade extravaganza.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, you can see the floats, the balloons, the marching bands.
Are they good floats, though?
Yeah, they're pretty decent. Lots of celebrities, all the drivers on top of the convertibles.
Okay, well, that's actually cool. That sounds awesome.
You can get kind of close to the drivers. The theme for this year's parade is iconic moments in Indy. So they're going to celebrate
iconic moments in Indy.
They're going to celebrate the city's history. So my question is, they haven't announced who's going to wave the green flag or the checkered flag, right?
Are the Indy Democrats going to have a float celebrating like our cattle industry so all of their members can appear in public? Sorry, that's a fat joke in case you didn't quite catch that one, listeners on the air. I'm aiming to get thrown off the air by at least June 2nd.
Clearly, if we get fined today, by the way, right before your 100th episode, if we get fined today, that's coming out of your pocket, okay?
We can get fined?
Sure.
How often do you get fined?
Well, 0 so far, so let's keep that record going.
Yes. Oh, man, I'm excited for this one.
It is the Kendall and Casey Show. That's Tony Kinnett on 93 WIBC.
We would listen to the race on the radio.
My brother and I would always end up in the back of a station wagon. We'd get to listen to the race, looking out back.
Can't watch the race on TV, it would be blacked out.
The magic of May.
We would listen to the race on the radio.
The traditions.
The race could be heard throughout the entire house.
The guys in the IMS radio network are the absolute best.
The memories.
We would go camping sometimes and listen to the race on the radio.
For more than 70 years, your home of the Indianapolis 500. 93 WIBC.
Summer's almost here and you know what's coming. Mom, I'm bored. You've already been to the library, the park, the swimming pool, but it's 6 p.m. and there's a lot of daylight left. Let Life Church help you get your summer started off right. Bring your kids to one of our vacation Bible schools beginning at 6 p.m. on June 3rd. They'll make new friends, play fun games, learn new music, and learn truth about Jesus. What a better way to start off summer. Go to lifechurchin.com for more.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again, and it will change your life.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
That moment when you realize you've got a plumbing problem. A real pipe-bursting, clogged-up tight, somebody-get-all-the towels, full-on flush fiasco. But fear not, there's an expert for that.
Trust your local plumbing experts at Rod Ripple Service Experts and save $50 off any plumbing repair.
Plumbing problemos? There's an expert for that.
Call Rod Ripple Service Experts at 866-EXPERTS. See website for license details.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Over 1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000.
That's good math. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC. Tony Kinnett is filling in for Rob Kendall today.
That's right.
And you're a little worried that this may be your last broadcast.
Oh, yeah. See, every time I just try to push the envelope as far as it can. But for the people that are on the floor now that I know are listening right now, let's see, either in the concrete truck or over at Draper or at Nestle, those guys over at the Honda plant that I know listen to Kendall and Casey, it ought to be the most enjoyable and entertaining show for those guys. That's what makes my last broadcast on the air worth it.
It's not going to be your last one. You've got your 100th episode of the Tony Kinnett Cast tomorrow. So
that's right.
Make it a big party. Hey, I got something yesterday that I wanted to share with you. It says, "Hi, I'm Zoe. We're polling Indiana residents. Can you answer a quick poll?
Okay.
Yes or no?" So I, of course, am adventurous, so I said yes.
Oh, I usually tell them about their car's extended warranty, but please tell me more.
I wanted to know what they were polling, and this is how it went. The first question was, do you live in the city of Indianapolis or outside the city of Indianapolis? No, within Indianapolis.
Okay, all right. Doing so well on the I-STEP test so far.
Next question. For statistical purposes only, what is your zip code? So I answered that.
All right.
Next question. Are you or anyone in your household employed by a newspaper, television, or radio station for a political party or by a candidate for political office? I selected yes. We thank you for your time spent taking this survey. Your response has been recorded.
Yeah, I bet it has.
I have no idea what they wanted to know.
I don't either. I get really weird survey requests, and then I also get a lot of texts from Papa John's. So I keep deciding to liven up some of these surveys by sending them the deals that are happening this week at Papa John's. So in the last gubernatorial, when Mike Chambers texted me thinking that I was my dad, I sent his campaign staffer back that it was National Garlic Day and that garlic knots were half off at Papa John's. And the guy responded, please stop texting me.
We don't want to know what you've got on sale. Well, I'm at least proud of the fact that I'm no longer getting Michigan surveys. Now my phone number has been sold to somebody here in Indiana.
I got a Wisconsin voter ballot sent to me last year.
A voter ballot?
time, like voter registration, I should say.
Really?
Yep.
Why Wisconsin?
Well, I used to go to college there.
Okay.
And so I voted in a couple elections there, and they must think that even though I am nowhere near there now, and it is still coming to my Indiana address.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know this, but Indiana does not fit in the state of Wisconsin. Thank God in heaven.
No, it does not. Okay, so 1 in 4 Americans feel they're going to lose their job this year. Are you nervous about your employment?
No.
25% say it's distress about the job market, and 22% say they work in an unstable business or industry.
What are stable businesses and industries?
Is anything a stable
I've been waiting to
business or
hear
industry?
that forever. There is a book that is a kind of a corporate ethic book called Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah.
It's a classic. I love it.
Yeah, I've read that
It's a
one.
great one.
Mhm.
And the theme of the
about
book is,
change.
the theme of
Dealing
the book
with
is
change.
if you stay where you are eventually going to run out of food. Things are going to fail. And the idea, well, I want a stable business job where just like my dad, I can work at Dana in Richmond or my grandfather at Westinghouse and ABB in Muncie for his entire career. Guys, those days are over. The boomers squandered that economy. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. It ain't happening. There's no job or industry that is safe right now unless, you work for the IEDC. So that's kind of the way it is. You're worried about losing your job this year. I don't question why.
Well,
the economy is not good.
32% are worried that they're falling behind or lack the skills that they need to be successful. And more than half say they've been doing the same job for years and that their skill set is now outdated. And I completely believe that with AI.
I don't think it's AI. I think you had me until that. AI is just Microsoft Office for the new century. So there's a commercial that I've talked about before. And in the 90s, when Microsoft Excel came out, they had this commercial, these two guys riding up the elevator to the top floor to this meeting. And this guy was showing all this crazy new stuff that was like all automatic and it thought for you and all these cool things. And it revolutionized the corporate industry. That's all AI is. It's not creative. It doesn't actually replace people. It can mimic and it can sort through data and analyze. That's all it can do.
Right, but you don't think that there's a big majority of people who've never used it and are afraid of it and feel like because they haven't used it,
tell me the
their
job.
skill set is
Tell me
falling
the
behind?
Is there a job that you can think of that is considered a mainstay staple job that would require AI to be used these days?
No, I mean the biggest one that I know it is with copywriting, and
I mean it's easy enough to look that. I mean it's very easy to learn how to use AI. I mean most of AI is saying, hey, look at these. I've used it before with my articles. Look at these 40 articles that I've written. Find a few common points of data because I don't want to go read 40 of my articles. And it's like, here, you've used this hyperlink 5 times. Here's the study. There you go. I mean it's easy to learn how to use.
But I think if you're talking about somebody who's older, who's been in the same job for years and years and years, and they're hearing all of this talk about AI coming, it's probably making them nervous. Like, oh, is that going to affect my job? Do I have to learn a new skill
now
to use AI?
The automatic checkout thing, the self-service checkout thing at the grocery store, and also a lot of drive-thrus and things are starting to use AI. Yeah, those jobs are probably going to disappear, but they were never supposed to be big, massive, decades-long careers anyway. And that's unpopular because people don't like being told that the job that they've picked is not supposed to be where they work forever. I'm sorry. I don't say that with relish. I don't say that because, your job's becoming outdated. But I'm sorry, buggy whip syndrome is not an excuse for you still working at the buggy whip place. So as far as the skills argument where like today's go get 'em lifestyle means you have to go out there and hustle for brand new kinds of skills, a lot of that's kind of fluff. And as we move into more of a service and individualistic trade society, I think that the jobs market is going to transition into that a lot more effortlessly than probably some of the fear mongering is.
Well, according to these people, 9 out of 10 believe it's important to prioritize learning new skills.
Well, yeah, but that's just living. Like, there's no place where you get to just stop. There's an episode of Scrubs, actually, in which there's this old doctor played by Dick Van Dyke, and he's like doing old medical procedures. And Bob Kelso, he basically lectures him and says, look, dude, he's like, we've worked together for years, but the minute that you stop improving in this field, you're done. Because you can't use the old stuff forever. And that kind of mode of thinking is kind of how we got this economy in the first place.
74% said they're interested in making themselves more valuable to their employers. And I always tell Kevin the best way he can make himself more valuable, do the job your boss doesn't want to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They'll keep you around.
10 out of 10. And also look very annoyed because you'll look busy. That's the George Costanza strategy.
Look, just wipe that counter down
If I just
again.
sit here and I just look annoyed, I'm just...
Uh-huh. Yeah, you got a lot.
I look busy.
Yeah, you got a lot.
Leave me alone. Don't give me any new things to do.
Yeah, also make sure that your PETA level is not higher than your worth.
Also, don't hire people with pronouns in their names. That really increases the longevity of the emotional health of your workers.
Your news update is coming up. It's 93 WIBC.
Bill Frazier is a Hoosier, an American who has served our citizens with distinction, determination, and a wisdom that comes with years of experience. Now, Bill Frazier is ready to dedicate his life to serving you as your next congressman in Indiana's 6th District. Bill Frazier is a true conservative. He'll fight for a secure border, smaller government, and lower taxes. He will be a tireless advocate for the Second Amendment and the rights of the unborn. Bill Frazier is a veteran paratrooper, a successful farmer and business owner, a licensed commercial jet pilot, a man with experience. When President Ronald Reagan needed expert advice on agricultural issues, he called on a young Hoosier farmer, Bill Frazier. Ronald Reagan trusted Bill Frazier. You can too. Vote for experience and determination. Vote for the true conservative Hoosier. Vote for Bill Frazier for Congress.
I'm Bill Frazier, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Bill Frazier.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Clearing them out. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. LA police have taken control of an anti-Israel encampment at UCLA. Law enforcement from several agencies showed up on campus before dawn this morning and pushed the protesters off school grounds. Video which shows officers in riot gear arresting people and what seems to be tear gas being fired. Lawyers for former President Trump are trying to prove their client did not violate a gag order in his criminal hush money trial.
Mr. Blanche is trying to show that there is no gag order on Michael Cohen and that his client, former President Trump, is within the legal boundaries to attack Cohen and attack others who are attacking him.
Fox's Eric Shawn. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough, our health. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick. Probiotics that help you lose weight. Prebiotics for digestion. Superfoods for muscles and joints. And several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code BLOOM or text BLOOM to 511-511 and claim 40% off today. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
As a female gun owner, finding the right store can make all the difference. At Premier Arms, they understand that your journey to self-protection is personal and empowering. Whether you're a seasoned shooter or just starting out, they're there to guide you with respect and understanding. You can trust Premier Arms to take care of you without making you feel foolish or uninformed. I do. Hey, it's Casey Daniels. Consider Premier Arms. They're in Brownsburg, or you can find them online at premierarms.com. Call them at 317-858-3030.
Hello, Indianapolis. This is your City County Councilor, Leroy Robinson. As a former public school teacher, school administrator, and dedicated servant to the Indianapolis Public School Board of Commissioners and the former state director for the Indiana Department of Education, I've committed my entire life to enhancing our community's educational foundation. With that commitment, working alongside Rise Indy, we encourage you to vote this Tuesday, May 7th.
This message sponsored and paid for by Rise Indy.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Mother's Day is almost here. Sundown Gardens is fully stocked with high-quality annuals, trees, shrubs, decor, and more. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundownGardens.com.
Emmer Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show. on 93 WIBC.
They were dressed up in riot gear and they made several arrests as police at UCLA were clearing the protesters out. It is 11:33. It is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Tony Kinnett filling in today.
That's
you're
right.
You're gonna be here tomorrow as well.
Oh yeah.
And you're hosting your Kinnett Cast tonight, right?
I am. That's right. It's a WIBC Tony Day. It's like I'm Tony Katz over here with all these shows.
Yeah, you've got the double duty. So you can catch the Tony Kinnett Cast Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. You're also a columnist from the Daily Signal. And let's talk more about what's going on these college campuses, because that is the news everywhere, affecting many people. And there's some audio of one of the kids, he was a protester.
There's this guy who, again, has not just been protesting, but has, like many of them, trespassed, rioted, vandalized, and done other stupid, illegal things. And so the cops who are done with it, and like in UCLA, in Chapel Hill, in North Carolina, in New York City, they tore down the Palestine flag, threw it on the ground, and started arresting people who have broken the law. And so this guy, he just, Kevin, you got to play this. It's so funny.
I'm a student here. I'm an English major. Please, don't fail us. Don't fail us.
So he's been led away by police because, again, he has broken the law. He is trespassing.
Right.
Okay. He is being led away by police, not like dragged away, like he's being sucked into the dark portal in a Marvel movie. All right. He's being led away by police. He's like, I'm a student here. I'm an English major. It's like,
don't fail me.
Please. You don't say. You are a worthless major at a university? What a surprise. And I was already a fan of watching you get arrested. You didn't have to sell it to me.
You didn't have to add that on there. Send us water. We need water.
Oh, and
Don't
bananas
fail us.
and Vaseline. And look, I'll be honest. Someone underneath decided to get smart and said, Tony, don't you have 2 master's degrees in education? And I said, yes, I do. And they were complete waste of money. And number 2, I don't go to universities, riot, vandalize, assault, intimidate, and entrap, and other stupid things that would get me arrested. Amazing how that works.
I think it's such a shame, though, for all of the students who are there and they're going to class and they're not causing all this chaos. And there's the threat that their graduation will be canceled because of the few bad apples.
It really is a shame because, again, there are individuals on that campus who have been prevented from going to classes, the library, and other organizational buildings and structures. That's right. Because not just buildings, but also structural areas. And they paid to be there.
Absolutely.
And yet some snarky little mask-wearing whatever non-binary goober is saying, I can't walk through. Yeah, what he really deserves is a good right hook.
And so some of these people should be afraid of their hiring potential in the future if they graduate. But that kid's saying, please don't fail us. It's finals week for many of these campuses. And I'm wondering, do you think this will die down after the semester's over?
No, I think we're heading towards the grand finale. We're talking the chorus line, the DNC convention. Now, I hope that they come to the RNC convention in Milwaukee because I will be there. I will be doing the Tony Kinnett cast from the RNC. We have actually a whole big set that's being built. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I'm very snarky and just full of piss and vinegar. And I cannot wait to share that with what's actually a really beautiful city. I used to teach in Milwaukee. If any of those protesters decide to come up, I will remind you, I'm carrying at all times. Praise God.
All right, we've got to talk about something really important coming up.
Oh.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, yes.
We'll do it when Rob's not here. I want to get your take. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, I don't know if I'm down with this anti-Semitism bill in Congress. Let us break it down. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
It's time for a change in Indiana and Washington, D.C. Our leaders have lost their way, and it's time to send a Green Beret to fix it. After September 11, when our nation was reeling from terror attacks, Charles Bookwalter stood up and said, "Send me." Charles Bookwalter served as a Green Beret overseas in combat, earning a Bronze Star for his service. And now, as our leaders in D.C. recklessly spin us into generational debt and send trillions overseas, Charles Bookwalter is standing up again to say no. No to open borders and illegal immigrants. No to endless wars. And no to endless spending. It's time for a new generation of Republican leaders to step up and continue their service. Because Washington is broken, and only a Green Beret like Charles Bookwalter can fix it. Vote Charles Bookwalter for Congress. Paid for by Green Beret PAC, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Hey, it's Hammer Nigel, and look, if you're over 60 and you've not filed for Social Security, there's some stats you might want to know about.
Did you know that 96% of Americans forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income?
Wow, and it's because they file for their benefits at the wrong time. Now, you could learn how you could wring every nickel out of the benefits with a free customized Social Security analysis from Bill Demery. He's your retirement guy right here in Indy.
The free analysis makes filing for Social Security as easy as it can be, and it could help ensure you get the last penny out of the benefits that are rightfully yours.
So if you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and you've not filed for Social Security, call now, 317-648-5120. That's 648-5120. Schedule your free analysis by calling Bill Demery at 648-5120. And tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Politicians who tell you what you want to hear and do the exact opposite. Nothing new there, right? Well, this is one for the record books. I'm sure you've seen his ads. See if you can guess who this is. He was an original Never-Trumper, on the board of the campaign that opposed Donald Trump from the beginning. Sponsored a bill to restrict guns and gear from police departments. Talk about defund the police. Even voted to pay tuition for illegals with our tax dollars. And gave them driver's licenses too. Oh, and he raised taxes 20 times and doubled state spending. Who is this big budget liberal, you ask? It's Republican Mike Speedy. So don't be fooled by those ads. Know the real record before you vote. Mike Speedy's liberal record.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
Visit Damon's Lawn and Garden and Greenhouse for endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, and spectacular hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies. Their knowledgeable staff is ready to assist you. For any of your gardening needs, experience Damon's on West Rockville Road. Go to Dammons.com for more. That's Dammons.com.
Damon's Lawn and Garden, Indiana's most complete garden center.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Building a better future for Hoosiers is going to take an outsider. Brad Chambers is the only candidate for governor who's not a career politician. And only Brad Chambers built a national business from nothing. As Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers broke records for job growth all across the state. Jobs with wages higher than ever before. Because of Brad Chambers, higher wages are on the way. And only Brad Chambers can keep them coming.
Paid for by Chambers for Indiana. What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our Rhino Shield has been on for 8 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Head to the contest page at WIBC.com and enter for your chance to win 2 tickets to the sold-out Tales from the Track event featuring Scott Dixon, plus VIP seating with Dixon's crew chief during the event, and passes to meet Scott Dixon.
Have you ever been through a hurricane, Tony?
I have not, but I have been uncomfortably close to a tornado.
How do you become uncomfortably close to a tornado? Were you chasing it down? What were you doing? You were, my gosh, you were a storm chaser.
No. I was in a weather class, and I kid you not, we had an assignment to get a picture of some weather, and it was one of those like perfect storm, no pun intended, situations that I ended up chasing down what was like a funnel cloud in my little 2011 Toyota Corolla in Wisconsin, and I ended up getting very, very uncomfortably close to this F3 outside of I think it was Racine, Wisconsin, and it was very, very close, and not like close enough for my car to be battered or anything, but close enough that I thought, what on earth am I doing? This is so stupid.
What kind of grade did you get in the class?
Oh, I got bonus points on the assignment.
I bet you did.
I got some cool pictures too. I'll have to dig them up and show you.
Yeah. Well, it's hurricane season coming up.
That it is.
June 2, I believe it runs till November, and tropical storm, hurricane, they're considered that if winds are higher or faster than 39 miles per hour.
Which is weird because 39-mile-an-hour gusts of wind we've suffered in the Midwest here pretty frequently over the last couple of years.
Yeah, but they've come out with the list of the hurricane season names.
We've got them. We got the baby names for this year?
Yeah,
Let's
every
go.
year they come out with this list of the, here's the 24 Atlantic hurricane season, and let's do this alphabetically, shall we?
Gotcha.
Alberto.
Oh, okay. Not a bad start. Not a bad one.
Burl. kind of like Merle, only Burl. Mm-hmm. Now here's a more classic name, I guess. Chris.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Wait, how do you go from Burl to
Chris, right?
Okay, all right.
Debbie is on the list.
Hurricane Debbie.
Yeah,
that's
Hurricane
what I call my ex-wife down at the fair.
Is that really the name of a hurricane, or is that somebody who's got a butterscotch in their purse?
Well, it sounds like somebody who is. I mean, I wanted the hurricane to be called Lil Debbie. I just want to see the memes of someone photoshopping Lil Debbie snacks onto the storm.
Yes, exactly. Little Debbie crunch cake. Ernesto is one.
Okay, all right.
Francine,
okay.
We've got a French hurricane.
All right.
Gordon,
okay. It's a train.
Yeah.
Thomas the Tank Engine, so it'll hit you like a freight train. I'm here.
Yep. So these are the names for the Atlantic hurricane season this year. Helene.
Okay, stretching a little bit. All right.
Isaac.
All right. None of these are as good as Burl, but all right, we'll keep going.
Joyce.
Okay.
Kirk.
So Joyce is just the HR hurricane.
Yeah.
That's the you've been called in for harassment.
That one's going to send you down to a meeting.
Yeah.
Kirk is the next one on the list, and they spelled it correctly. Unlike Kirk Herbstreit in the yearbook, they spelled it Crick for him.
Oh.
Leslie is the next name.
Okay, so that's either like a lady or a guy who wears really gay shoes. I hear you. All right,
okay.
All right.
Here's another one. This is friends with Burl. Milton.
Milton is just, I feel like Milton is the hick version for England. So you got Burl in Appalachia, and then you got, that's Milton. Yeah, see, he chews on his own shoes. You know what I mean?
Nadine is on the list.
Hurricane Nadine. Here we go. Grab the do.
Oscar.
Okay, all right. Got some Sesame Street vibes in there. I'm for it.
Is that where you went? I went with the Oscar Mayer wiener.
Too many people are obsessed with the Wienermobile. I find it weird.
Yeah, okay. Patty is a hurricane name for this year.
There's a lot of NASCAR representation in this year's hurricane list.
I don't know if we'll get to these names because they name more than we typically have.
Okay.
Raphael.
Okay, also a lot of Hispanic names in here. I'm very much a fan.
I'm glad you noticed that.
I'm going to shelter at the Mexican restaurant in Greenfield. Don Rigo's phenomenal. Keep going.
Sarah without an H.
Oh, I have a friend in Newcastle that I go to church with, spells her name that way, and she's not much of a hurricane, so this is going to be a shock to her, I'm sure.
Tony is on the list.
I have arrived.
Yes.
I'm going to increase global warming single-handedly so we can make it to Hurricane Tony.
You want to talk about memes for Hurricane Tony?
I do.
It's your face swirling around.
Just headed towards the Indy Star,
right?
Like ever so slowly. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Also on the list is Valerie.
Valorie's a great name. Great name.
Just ask Elvis Costello. He'll tell you.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Then there was there's a
Steve
song.
Winwood's.
Steve Woodward's. Thank you, Valerie. Yep.
Finally, on the list of hurricane names for this season, William.
Hurricane William.
But if it's little, they'll just call it Bill.
Just Bill.
Just a little Bill.
It's like Robin Williams named these hurricanes.
It's interesting because from 1953 to 1979, they only used female names.
Right. Yep.
But now they have included male names.
I'm excited to reach the era where like the millennial moms start getting involved, and so you have like Hurricane Braxton, Jake Lindsley,
right?
And
Hurricane Brittany?
Yeah, the hurricanes that sound like they came out of a Trader Joe's.
Hurricane McKenna?
Hurricane Hempley.
Yeah. Okay, so good luck with hurricane season. I don't think you'll have to worry much here in Indiana.
I'm going to travel to go see Hurricane Tony. That's going to be a banger.
You want to talk about traveling?
Okay.
Taylor Swift flew 178,000 miles in a single year.
Wow.
She's got this stalker, I guess, who follows her plane all over the place.
That's become a popular thing now.
Yeah, and has tracked her,
Yeah.
and he vows that he's going to keep tracking her. But isn't that interesting that for someone who, doesn't want to contribute to the emissions, that she has flown 178,000 miles in her planes.
In 1 year.
Two planes.
Exactly. In 1 year with her two private planes.
Yeah.
Has contributed more to carbon emissions than any of your cars were in your entire life. Any of your cars will in your entire life.
Okay, so that's 83 times the average American.
I mean, I'm not surprised. But to be fair, I carry a lot of things when I travel. And some of the things are great. Some of the things are mediocre. You bring like just what you can get by with. And I'm just amazed that there are two private jets to carry the most mediocre thing in the entire country.
You're not a big fan.
I mean, it's not being a big fan or being a hater for all the Swifties who just don't understand. It's like listening to oatmeal. Like no milk, no sugar, cream of wheat, Quaker Oats oatmeal. It's uninspired.
Okay, let's talk about how uninspired she is, perhaps maybe lyrically.
It's right up my alley.
Her profanity use has increased by 5,600%.
Yeah, it's like a white person adding salt to dishes because they can't add like actual spices, so they just like add more salt. That's like Taylor Swift. There's nothing of substance to her songs. So she's just chucking more salt at it, hoping that like turning it into a salt lick will make it better.
Okay, so she has set a lot of records in the past year, including having the first album to reach over 300 million streams in a day.
Yeah.
1 billion Spotify streams in less than a week. And now she's setting this record for swear words, at least for herself. If you look at her catalog over the last 18 years, her use of profanity increased by 5,600%.
Well, not all kinds of profanity.
What do you mean?
Well, she used to what was that one of her older songs where she I can think of the tune. But where she's like pining after some guy that she lost, which I know that doesn't really narrow it down.
Right.
But when she's like very mad at him, she says, "That's okay. I'll tell your friends that you're gay." And that became socially unacceptable. So she doesn't say that anymore. Now she's changed the lyrics. She's gone back and edited
the
old
Taylor
albums.
version of the song.
Right.
She changed that one.
But what she's like other profanity, she's like kicking it up a notch.
Oh, she's kicking it up a big notch. Her very first album, she had one swear word.
Okay.
Now she's up to 57 on her
That's
tortured.
like half an Eminem song.
Right, exactly. If you'd like to see her favorite swear words, you can find them at WIBC.com right now. There's an article there with the side piece. They range from mild to explicit.
Nice.
But yeah, the big ones are on there. The S word, the F bombs, the B words, all of them.
I love it when someone starts using those kind of euphemisms to describe swear words, and then they start saying letters, and I don't know what they're talking about. Like, oh, she said the G word, and I'm like, what on God's green earth is the G word?
I think it's GD is the G word, right?
Oh, but see, that's GD. I don't know. I don't know. There's, and then there's like the idea of bleeping out the God, but not like the God. You know what I'm
The
saying?
D?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very strange rules we got here.
This is an interesting conversation trying to talk about swear words.
With a Baptist?
Well, not with a Baptist, with a broadcast, actually.
Oh, so it's cryptic and it's shameful.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Catholic sermon.
Okay, so she had 18 swear words in Bad Down, which is a song on her latest album.
Oh, the Mediocre Poet Society.
Yeah, mediocre. Okay, so signaling an artistic shift on her end, right?
Oh, let's not call it artistic.
Okay, well, I'm questioning, is she embracing her adult language because she's getting older? Perhaps this is insight into what is more acceptable now, culturally, societally? Is she saying goodbye to the younger set of fans that made her more famous?
No.
Or is this just perhaps a lack of lyrical creativity?
It's the second and the fourth thing. So it's more societally acceptable than ever to swear in any variety or way that you want. There's no sanctity, whatever that ship has sailed. We could talk about that everyone understands it. But she doesn't have anything in the album that actually again, she was talking about this, poet society, and everyone's expecting like not some super deep stuff, but some like lyrical creativity. And instead she's singing about you wouldn't last in the asylum I was raised in. And it's like a really nice upper middle class home in Tennessee, and a bunch of other nonsense talking about how she wants to go back to the 1830s, but without the racists.
And the poor feminine hygiene products, or lack of, I would imagine. That would be awful.
Oh, no.
No good plumbing,
Talk
electricity.
About period history.
So the Tortured Poets Department, that reminds me of Dead Poets Society.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, the Tortured Poets. I mean, first of all, Dead Poets Society, far better in every way, shape, and form. There's actually a remix of that movie that's a song by an artist named Pogo on YouTube called Seize the Day, and it's far better than Taylor Swift's entire discography put together.
I always think of Jerry Rafferty when I think of that movie because of Baker Street. I believe that song is featured in the movie.
Yeah, it is. I think so. I always think of Baker Street, though, because it's the beginning to Dave Ramsey's show.
Oh,
and so like, growing up, that saxophone kicks in, and I'm just like transported all the time. I was in my grandmother's car, and Dave Ramsey came on.
Do you want to shout that you're debt-free?
You'd have to have, I guess, serious debt to shout that I guess I worked through college. So,
so you're not one of those people who had a loan?
No.
Good for you.
I hauled butt.
Yeah.
So I didn't have time to go burn down campuses.
So I thought, talking about Taylor Swift, it reminded me that you're a musician.
I do the musics.
And you play piano beautifully.
Oh, that's very sweet.
And I think we need to shoot a video sometime.
I'd
so
love
that people can see your musical side as well.
I would just, as long as you're like leaning on the piano and singing Stevie Nicks, I think we can really make it work.
Can I bring my tambourine?
That's required.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Tony, thank you so much for hanging out. You want to do it again tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, because Rob's taking another day off.
Yeah, he sent me a threat if I didn't show up on time today, so I
gotta
show up. I mean, probably.
Well, thank you for being here. This has been the Kendall and Casey Show. Thanks, Kevin, by the way. It's 93